What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the podcast. I am Derek, and once again joined by my beautiful, sexy, redheaded co-host, Mr. Kodeations. And we also got a special guest on this week's podcast, which is Nate. Nate, do you actually use the GM in the part of your name when you're
Nah.
or you just go by Nate? Okay,
NateFT, really. It's
NateFT?
I guess the podcast NateFT, but I'm just Nate. I mean, I've been Nate for, Nate's not even my first name. I go by my middle name because my mother hates my father's name, but
fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But yeah, no, just Nate, whatever.
Okay,
yeah.
Fair enough. And Nate is as he just said, he does have his own podcast. You guys know me and Cody's been diving into the NFT world. We started kind of dabbling. We had a couple guests and just, it sucks you in, man. It's like a rabbit hole and it just sucks you in. And we have not been able to stop. Yeah, we haven't been able to stop since we got pulled in. So all of our guests lately have been NFT guests, have been guests around NFTs, cryptocurrencies, decentralized stuff, all of that. That's also Nate. That's what he's into. That's what he's involved in. We were talking a little bit before stream, just bantering a little bit, kind of getting to know each other since this is our first time talking on camera. But I've been conversing with him on Twitter. I've been following him on Twitter for a while. Seems like a decent guy. Seems like a great guy in the space. So I don't remember which one of us reached out to who asking if we. I think I did. I think I reached out to you asking if you wanted to do a podcast.
Don't say that. I'm a rug.
But anyway, seemed like a cool guy. I was like, oh, I'd love to have this guy on. He seemed to understand a lot about the NFT space and stuff. And as I told him, what we kind of always do is we're just here to have a fun time, a fun conversation, talk about things that we love, things that we enjoy. I got some, notes and stuff that I've written down, questions to ask Nate, some funny, some serious, but we're just here to have a good time. But before we do that, I would like Nate to go ahead, if he doesn't mind, can maybe give a little bit of a backstory of who you are, how you got involved in NFTs, if you've been in crypto, if you were in crypto before NFTs, or if NFTs what's brought you, but just kind of your backstory, Nate.
Yeah, I'll give you my short, long. I'm kind of a ranter, so I'll kind of try to keep it short. But my name's Nate Workman. I am the founder and CEO of a newly founded blockchain consulting company, Web3 consulting company called Chain and Block. I run a podcast called NateFT. We've been on for about almost a year now. It'll be a year in February. Had a lot of great guests on, but my history in crypto, I guess it really starts when I was 12, and I read a book called Game Programming for Teens, and I learned how to program in BASIC, and never really thought of that as something that would really help me in the future of my life. My parents, my family were always very anti-electronics, anti-computers and that sort of thing, didn't understand the value in it. And then years go by. I studied chemistry in college. In 2015, you said you'd bought Bitcoin, I think at $100, Derek. I read the Bitcoin white paper in 2015 when it was like $5.
Wow.
I'm a college kid. I don't have $5-10 to throw in for
it wasn't just that. It was hard to find.
Idiot.
Man. It was hard to get.
It was too.
It was
but
really
I could have
hard
figured
to get.
It out. I just didn't because I'm an idiot. But read that, got it. Read the Ethereum white paper back then too, because that was kind of catching up popularity, but never got involved. And I've just been kind of following the space for years, and reading all the news and keep my eye on it, hearing about ICOs and stuff, but was always just doing other stuff and whatnot. And then I was in direct sales for a long time. COVID hit. I got out of that and decided I wanted to work from home. Ended up doing some sales stuff from home, but in the December of 2020 or November, December-ish of 2020, my little brother made a bunch of money. Excuse me, I have a little bit of bronchitis still I'm coming out of. My little brother made a bunch of money, like 20 grand in penny stocks. And then another friend of mine made a lot of money on Humble. I don't know if you heard about that pump. They're a blockchain company, but they made a bunch of money. And I thought, these idiots can do it. Jesus Christ. I gotta start reading up. I'm sure I can, so I made my New Year's resolution to kind of teach myself finance. And I didn't specifically say you're going to learn stocks, but I kind of I was all right, well, I know I want to learn this kind of stuff. And then I learned a little bit about algo trading, and that pulled me into learning Python again and learning a little bit of programming that I had touched up in college. And then I guess the really turning point when I realized that this was going to be something that I was going to consistently be involved in probably forever for now on. And, the time it kind of started to pull me in, was Clubhouse in February of 2020. And if anybody, you ask anybody that was on Clubhouse in 2020, or I'm sorry, not February 2020, 2021, this year, you ask anybody that was on Clubhouse at that time and was in any of the NFT rooms or the NFTs.tips rooms, they'll tell you it was like, there was a vibe, there was a feeling that like you were in the right place at the right time because things were going on, artists were showing up that like were the right people. And like, I think the real turning point for me was, I was in this room, I went into an NFTs.tips room and I was sitting in there for probably 2 days straight, like 12 hours a day. I was working during COVID in a mall and like, we weren't doing a lot of traffic. So I'd have a lot of time. And my buddy had hit me to Clubhouse. I wasn't really into it. And then I found about these NFT rooms and then I started pulling. What got me was when my friend Alexander Mazai, who I've interviewed on my podcast, and he's the founder of NFTs.tips, but he came into a room and he's like, yo, I'm in Connecticut. I got to get to this like NFTs.tips meetup in New York. It's like 40 minutes away. But this kid I've known for years just hit me up. And he's like, yo, we just bought an original Banksy print and we're at my buddy's house in Long Island and we are going to light it on fire. And we're all like, what? And he's like, yeah, we bought like, they've got like this $100,000 Banksy print, like original Banksy print that's verified. He bought in Queens and they're going to light it on. They called a bunch of news organizations and they're going to light it on fire. And we're like, what? And he's like, what do I do? Like, do I go to the meetup? Like everybody's expecting me to go to the meetup. I'm the leader in here. I got to like, do I go to the, and everybody in the room was like, dude, fuck the meetup. Go to the Banksy burning. So like, I got a live stream. We all in that room kind of got an Instagram live stream of the burnt Banksy. And that kind of made, that got some news press, a lot of news organizations were there for that. But basically this kid and a few of his friends that are of some sort of blockchain collective. They went to Queens and bought a $100,000 original Banksy print. They called CBS, CNN, like all these news sources, New York Times, New York Post. Everybody showed up, had a buddy's lawn that they could do the licensing for, because I guess it's hard as hell to burn something in Queens, like publicly, because fire and whatever. But I dig back of this like beautiful home. All these news organizations show up and the kid's like, we're going to prove like, usually this is the original art work. This would usually sell for way more than the NFT. By burning this, we're going to transfer the value to the NFT. Minted it, burned it. Yeah, minted it, burned it. He bought it for 100K. Next week sold it for, I don't remember how many ETH, but it came out at the time to 370 grand.
Holy cow.
So more than almost quadrupled, more than 3 times the value of the piece by burning it.
Wow.
And
but it's physically burning it. That's the crazy part.
Yeah, literally took a Bic lighter to the thing. Like literally took a Bic lighter to the thing.
That is crazy.
Yeah. And that was the moment I know, I'm like, yo, something big's happening here. Like crazy shit's going on. Then, like I see Bored Ape Yacht Club start up. I didn't get in because I'm an idiot. And then, crypto, at that point, CryptoPunk started to moon. And I was like, all right, yeah, shit's going down. And then Bored Ape Yacht Club mooned, all these other projects mooned. I've been involved in, all these different things. And like I've done a lot of collecting. Like I've done a lot of collecting on Screensaver World. I got a lot of generative pieces and PFPs I bought, a lot of stuff I like, a lot of land, like one-of-ones, stuff. I buy art because I like it. But what I've found and what I found the opportunity really is for the artists and the developers. And so slowly but surely, I mean, I teach myself Solidity. I teach myself this and that. I'm on Clubhouse. I'm talking in these rooms about stuff. People are like, where did you study computer science? I'm like,
YouTube.com.
No. Harvard. That's where I went. Harvard.com. That's what I started saying. I start saying.
And then when I say, well, you should have bought the Harvard.eth domain and then said Harvard. And then just like, no, I meant I own the domain of that.
Yeah, that was what I was talking about. Not the school. What do you think? I got that much money? Get out of here.
University of Vermont, or I was in Vermont, or whatever.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, like, and COVID hit, and like, I was doing like this and that, and like, I went through a bunch of personal stuff with a breakup and dealing with custody and all that I won't go into much detail on because it's really negative. But, I started just working at this grill again that I like had lots of good friends that supported me at, and I've been working there. But, over time, it's kind of like I've done more and more blockchain stuff. I've connected with more people, and more people have asked me like, yo, you know how to code, right? yo, you know how to make generative work, right? You know how to do that, like, you know, like, and I'm like, yeah. And they're like, I need a guy. So that's kind of the opportunity I've found. And then within the last 6 months, it's kind of like devolved into like, I'm working less and less on my other jobs, and I'm focusing more and more on doing development work. I'm involved in a lot of different projects. I am one of the developers for Wild Party DAO. We're doing a metaverse nightlife community that mostly runs on CryptoVoxels, but will run on a lot of different platforms. We have a lot of really big artists that I probably shouldn't name, but we have some really cool artists that are on board. I'm working on a project. What else? I'm a community manager for, or not community manager, I'm a mod for Strange Hands. My best friend's a community manager, and their project Chandler Hollow. I don't know if you know, he's
I'm very familiar and whitelisted, and I've been whitelisted. I joined when they had about 500 members, and I got whitelisted
nice.
Immediately.
Yeah, I'm Chardad. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm in there. I don't type much in that community.
Tonio, the community manager, is my roommate, my best friend.
Oh, like, awesome.
And yeah, his uncle's my landlord. He lives downstairs. Like,
oh,
so yeah,
that's awesome. That's
so
awesome.
I'm tight with all. Yeah. So and me and him and some other associates, I'm not really supposed to talk too much, but we are building a marketplace, and we have some crazy utility that we're gonna go to. But I'm not gonna talk too much about that because I've signed NDAs. But big things happening, and like it's just kind of sucked me in, you know, and like having these skills, knowing how to program, and being like an artist too. Like I make digital art. I'm looking at GIMP here on my TV right now. Like I was working on I'm doing a little generative project based on a character I made up when I was a kid. I figured I'd do for fun and practice, maybe sell on Polygon and see if anybody buys. But they're cool, they're cute. I'm gonna make them fun. But yeah, it just kind of sucked me in. And like you guys said, like this space kind of sucks you in. You kind of like you once you get it, like at first you're like, what the fuck is this? Like, why is everybody spending? Who's spending? Like, I go to my
click save.
Yeah, like I go to I love walking up to my friends at work at the grill, and I'm like, yo, check this out, this JPEG I just bought. And they're like, oh, that's really cool. I'm like, yep, I spent $450 USD technically on it. They're like, what the fuck? I'm like, yeah, dude. Like, and it's already worth $1,000. Like the floor's up. You know, and I look at it too, and like I don't know if it's because I've been like, you know, I've been involved in the community, but like all the NFTs I've bought are with the value of ETH going up and with the value of the NFTs themselves in ETH. I don't think I have any losses at all. Like a lot of them I can get out on Nifty 24, completely liquid, and I'm still up.
We need to hire this guy, Garrett. What the fuck are we doing?
Yeah, apparently, not only do you need to be on our podcast, but we need to become best friends.
Yeah, that would be.
I will say, overall,
I got a network
NFT space, I am positive. A lot of that due to the ENS token and a couple other things. I'm the opposite. I've had a couple projects that have done really well that have made me positive because of all the shit projects that I got involved in.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying I don't have anything that's worth less than I bought it for. I definitely probably do. But like, I also don't buy anything unless I like it. Like,
yeah, 100%.
Like you guys were talking about like, like, I hate to say this, and my opinion's completely changed now. Like my opinion, at first, a lot of people were like, oh, generative projects, the art sucks. And I was like, you know, some of them I was like, this is dope. And some of them I was like, I'm not too of taste for. And I hate to say it, but I was like, it wasn't that I didn't like Bored Ape Yacht Club, but I was like, I'm not going to spend 0.08 ETH on it at the time. Mm-hmm. You idiot. Like, right. You know, little did I know, like, you know, all my friends around me are buying this and they're still mintable. I'm like, oh, nah, fuck. Like, you know?
Oh yeah.
But like, you know, but being part of the community, I know a lot of apes and shit. And like, I didn't go to New York. I went for one day, but like Tonio ended up like hunting down like passes to all the events. And like, you know, like I definitely like am connected enough with the community that I know, I'm not a Bored Ape, but I feel a love for the Bored Ape community. And I feel like a love for, cause they've nailed community so hard that it spreads out way harder than the holders. Like even the holder, there's so many whales of holders that they're supporting so many other projects that they've created this swell of movement. And I think what that really is community. You know, that's what matters 100%. The most. And that hands down, questions asked. If you say, oh, I got this great idea. Dope. Build the community first. I have a good friend. Not to rant too much, but
you're fine.
We take over your podcast.
World,
Trust me,
dude. That's why we got you on.
Hey, you're the guest. You're the guest.
People say that to me. people say that to me too, and I'm like, I had you on, bro. It's your episode.
Yeah, we like, had you on because we wanted to hear what you had to say, man.
That's why exactly I've been glad to like. That's why I've been glad to like, you know, be on. I now that I like know my stuff, I'm like, yeah, I'd like to be on some other podcasts and share my ideas. Like, and you know, it's good for both of us. But basically, like, oh God, what the fuck was I gonna say?
Well, while you're thinking, I will say, see, I've kind of, community. That's what I was going to touch on. Was for me, that's what I've been, because I'm a marketer by trade. I've done marketing and sales most of my life. So you said, you know, you've gone to the dev side. I've been helping a lot of communities on the marketing side. And that's what I've been preaching to all of them. They're, you know, they want to come out and they want to do this and that, and they want to have this great idea. And I'm like, that's all great. Like, you want to have unique stuff. You want to be separable from every other project out there. You want to have that thing that sets you apart. But in the end, it is, I mean, the projects like, you know, Bored Ape Yacht Club, the members that bought Bored Ape Yacht Club, they weren't looking for the moon. They were looking for the community. They were excited about the art. They were excited about the technology. And then the moon came from that, so to say. And so that's my big space. And I've been working with a couple different projects now on more of the marketing side. I actually interviewed with a company a couple days ago for an NFT project to be their marketing director. So I'm hitting it from that side, and I'm just saying that to basically echo what you're saying, that's the biggest thing I see a lot of these projects failing at is even a lot of them that I've bought into, for example, most of the time the artists and the devs aren't even like, they're not even talking in the Discords. And again, that would probably be my mistake for then investing in those projects and not vetting it enough first. They were some more of the earlier projects I got in and stuff. But that's just, to me, it's one of the biggest things that I see missing in some of these projects is the devs create this stuff, the artists create this stuff, and then they don't form any kind of community around it. So again, I'm just touching on that with you or whatever.
True. You know, I look at a lot of where do I want to start with this? On my point before, you know, like that is where a lot of, you see a new project every day. You see a new you see 100 new projects every day. You know, a lot of artists are seeing this as opportunity and they're jumping in, and that's awesome. I think that's a fantastic thing. And I really do look at a lot of these projects and I'm like, well, even if you sell 10%, the artist got paid 30 grand. That's awesome. You know, in my opinion, that like I had been kind of telling you guys before, like I genuinely believe that the real opportunity here is for the developers and the artists, you know, and really for the artists, because nothing like this has been available before for artists, that you could, you know, like control your royalties, not have to deal with galleries, and there's an actual market out there for art, you know, like that. This is a renaissance. This is amazing. And we're seeing creativity bluster. We're seeing a lot of like derivative work and like copycat stuff. We're seeing creativity bluster in a lot of ways, you know, and like internet culture is kind of, I think, maturing at this point with this, and Web3 is kind of a whole new revolution of, you know, it's not a new thing. Like meme culture is not a new thing. And now it's like, some of the stuff that goes down is just amazing. One of my favorite projects is this project, JPEG's Automart.
I've not heard of it. No, I've not heard of that one. What is it?
So if you go, I don't know if you can hear my headphones. I'm going to put this up to my headphones. But if you go to jpegsautomart.com, basically they're selling randomly generated JPEGs of 2007 used pre-owned 2007 Kia Sedonas. The minivan. Yeah. And they're fucking hilarious. All right. Now the rabbit hole goes deep on this one. It like literally you go to the website and it's like JPEG's Automark, like the guy's name's JPEG's on the corner of P and J Boulevard.
Oh God. Okay.
If you go to their website, right?
I'm looking at the website right now, by the way, and it is hilarious.
Now, it is. Now look at the top there. You see the phone number there? Yeah. 1687 JPEGs. I'm gonna try to see if I can play this through my headphones for you. But if you call that number, you get this. There's plenty of 2007 Kia Sedonas. More arriving daily, just in time for the end of summer sell-a-thon at JPEG's Automart. Things might be cooling off, but these deals are heating up. 0% APR and no monthly payments. Just trade in your donut token at the lot. Sign and drive. Starting to sweat? That happens when you stand near the fire.
Dude, that is awesome.
That is pretty dope.
They sold it like 100 ETH of them in like a month, right? Now here's the thing. Now there's that where it's like meme. That's like it's a brilliant meme. It's a brilliant meme.
Yeah,
like absolutely. Like I have friends that are upside down in the things, and they bought like 5 of them. And they don't care. They're like, I got 5 2007 Kia Sedonas from JPEG's Automart. They're amazing. But so that kind of stuff happens, but then there's like crazy tech stuff that happens. Like for example, and don't quote me on this, I read like a back end article on this, and my buddy sent to me and is like, this happened, and I'm like, okay. But basically, to buy a JPEG's Automart NFT, you had to go to Sushi Swap, go to their Miso protocol, and buy a token called Dona, right? Sedona, like Dona token, right? And you could only mint Dona or a Sedona if you bought it with a Dona token. So you'd buy the token and then you cash it in for the NFT, right?
Right.
Through this protocol swap, through this pairing, as far as I've heard, a white hat hacker went in, swiped like $84 million out of Sushi Swap's protocol for like an hour, and then gave it back.
Wow.
So everybody is thinking, because the execution is so good, the contracts are written so well, their Telegram, like you listen to their Telegram, and like they're all in character, like salesman number, my legal name is salesman number 2. Like, but no, what's your first name? It's salesman. like dead on, like it's so well executed that people are thinking that this is like a white hat hack from somebody in Sushi Swap that wanted to prove, that wanted to show a hole in their protocol without like, going and getting in trouble. But just crazy stuff like that happens all the time, And what I really think, like the real, like we were saying, the real key to success is community. It's always going to be community. If you can get people to feel like they're involved and feel like they have a connection with you and the connection with the other holders, and they feel like they're part of something greater than themselves, then the value of that and the demand for it is going to be greater than the original mint, and that's how you get value and demand to increase. It's just basic market economics, really. But
and I am shocked. I mean, like, it looks like, do you know what they were minting for? How much, like ETH?
Bored Apes?
No, the JPEG's Automarts.
A Dona token cost about 0.08. The floor is, I believe, lower than what it is now.
Okay, that's what I was curious. I was wondering.
Yeah. So, but like I said, like they're like slightly down, but at the same time, like there are so many people that are like, dude, I don't care. That's amazing. And like at the same time, like the people that are involved in that experience, like so many people that tweeted about it, they're like, dude, I don't care if they go under. Like, I don't care if they go to zero. They're amazing.
That's the thing. You get to own that forever. Like whether they do or not. I've gotten
so much out of this digital experience already, and I've laughed so hard about this. And I remember for a week, I was like, everybody at work, I was like, oh, you're getting a new car? Like this kid was buying a truck. And I'm like, what kind of truck you getting? You should get a minivan. You know what you should get? You should get a 2007 Kia Sedona. They're having a special for him at JPEG's Automart. Hilarious. Like everybody at my work was like, Nate, shut the fuck up about the JPEG Sedona.
Trolling this guy.
Yeah, hard. But like, you know what I mean? And like, so the artist, because of that expression, directly has benefited, right? Like from that expression of art.
Sure.
And some people wouldn't call it art. Like they're like, oh, this isn't. But if you think about like, what is art? Art is an expression. In my opinion, I was in a Twitter space we were talking about. Art is a transfer of emotion, right? It doesn't matter what the medium is, like, and I know it takes. Trust me, I code. It takes a lot of effort to make something well executed in digitally. It takes a lot of work and thought, like, and it takes a lot of learning. But like, but at the same time, like as long as the emotion is transferred, to me, the art has value. And so that's why I'm like raving about this project, Well, and
I will say, just to jump in here for 1 second.
Go ahead.
And I will say that's where me and Kodeations have kind of gotten to. Oh my God, I'm jealous. It's been a while.
What?
I have bronchitis, but I can't stop.
Oh, sorry. I was not following along because he was small and you were big on my screen. That's why I was like, what are you looking at?
Jealous,
my daughter gave me hand, foot, and mouth when she visited a few weeks ago. Yeah, I'm losing all the skin on my hands.
Oh my God, that's horrible.
Dude, I must have smoked an ounce of weed that week. After she left.
Dude.
Yeah, I was smoking so much that
dude,
I finally just had to quit again because it was
just
so much.
I take tea breaks.
I do. That's what I had to do. I like it just gets to the point where
Discipline.
I smoke so much that I'm like, all right, I got to take a break and get some shit done and do some shit. And anyways, Cody, what were you going to say before I dive in about what I was going to say?
What?
Were you gonna say something? I thought you
No.
were
I was just trying to figure out what you were looking at because you were
Okay.
looking down and you're big on my screen and he's small at the top. That's why I wasn't catching the double play there. But
Fair,
yeah,
fair.
I got you.
So what I was gonna say though about the Sedona thing is that was kind of one of the big complaints where me and Kodeations has been at recently is we got into several PFP projects and we kind of got to that point where we were like, listen, it's all the same. Like we were like everybody's making apes, everybody's making cats, everybody's making, and we kind of, but you know, and to be honest, I've not seen personally a lot of projects like with this creativity, like you're saying, like this is awesome to me, this JPEG's Automart. And again, because of like the meme, like I guess I'm like, it's making me excited because I guess I've not been seeing this type of creativity lately. I've just been seeing, apparently I'm not in the right discords and meeting with the right people, but I've just been seeing like the same projects coming out, the same PFP. Now everybody's doing a damn token with their PFP.
Now everybody's doing a comic book. Now everybody's trying to build their own fucking metaverse. It's like the same. Every single PFP project that we've been looking at or seeing or hearing about, at least us anyway on this end, has all seemed the exact. It literally looks like one dev goes from one Discord to another Discord and convinces their entire team to do this exact same layout, and that's like what they've been repeating over and over again.
Whereas this, I mean, this is, to me, this is definitely creativity at its finest. This is awesome, in my opinion.
I do see a lot, like I was saying, I do see a lot of that derivative work. And some of it I call derivative work. Some of it I call copycatting,
Yep.
you know, like there's some projects that I'm like, you know, there's some derivative work that I have a friend, I don't even know how to pronounce Zerone or something like that on Twitter, but he does control cats on Screensaver World, and they're these glitched out. My profile pic right now is one of them. They're these glitched out, totally glitched out cool cats derivatives, and they're wicked cool. And like some of the color schemes are wicked original, and you can tell it took like a lot of thought was put into it, and like, you know, they're all they're good, you know.
Oh yeah,
there's things like that.
Dope.
And then there's like, you know, like crypto dogs.
Yeah.
like
crypto
take
dogs,
the word crypto,
third.
add an animal, crypto animal, boom, $250,000.
So to try to give value to the audience, let me ask this. So how did you find yourself getting away from those type of projects into some of these more like what for you has been the catalyst that has gotten you away from all of that into some, like even these, I'm looking at your glitch cat that looks dope AF as well. Like how did you, like, is it just the network you built? Was it hanging out in certain areas on the web? Like what have you found that has helped you find some of these dope projects?
Yeah, some of that. I mean, some of it's following the right people and staying in the right hype. And like, I hang out on Clubhouse a lot. I've been trying to get into Twitter Spaces. Everybody follow me on Twitter, NateFT ETH, because Twitter Spaces glitches on me, and I'm trying to get it so I can run Spaces because like I'm a talker. Like I do really good on Spaces. So whatever. But follow me, shill. But
shill away, baby. Follow
crap. Now I forgot my point.
Well, you were talking about how you find these other.
Oh yeah, how do I get away? Yeah. So like part of it's that like I've been in since like NFTs really became really popular. Like they've always, like, I hate saying that, like I've been here since the beginning. I've been here 6 months, and it's like like NFTs didn't start in 2021. Like CryptoKitties was out in 2017. CryptoPunks were given away I think in 2018 or something like that. Like but like this has existed. There are people that are way earlier than you, but those people now never have to work again because they, you know, bought 10 punks for $50 and sold 3 of them, and you know, now they're in Miami right now and we're trying to record a podcast. It's so dark sometimes. I don't give a fuck.
Hey, but it's perfect though. That's what it is. I mean, it's the truth. You're not.
That's what it is.
Truth.
But like, so like, you know, part of it is that hanging out. But what I really try to look for is value. Like, I look for art that I like, but I also look for like, what's the story behind the art? What's the motivation behind the project? Why are they doing it? What is the idea that inspired this? One project that I want to call out, and I love this project, and you can still mint them right now. Their V2s is Pause in Space. This is the project of my good friend Mike Mongo, who is the president now of Icarus Interstellar and works with, I don't know how much I'm allowed to name it, works with SpaceX and he was the creative, I'm pretty sure he was the creative director for the Inspiration 4 shuttle, but his prior was he was one of the co-founders of Obey Giant clothing company with Shepard Fairey and Ryan Lesser and Alfred Hawkins. And I know I'm missing one of them in my head here. Which one am I forgetting? Blaze Boulin. Rest in peace. But I like that I can name all of them because I'm he's a friend of mine, so I like to be historically accurate. But yeah, so their project and their friend Geo does the coding, and their project's Muttmix, basically there is the short term or pause in space. And they have done this. Their goal is to reincarnate animals that were sacrificed in the pursuit of science and space exploration. So like all these guys are involved with like space and SpaceX and all that. Like they were all involved in the Inspiration 4 shuttle. They're all good friends with Siam Proctor, who's the captain of the pilot of that flight. But like, they're all spaceheads, and their idea is that like they're reincarnating these dogs. So if you go to, I believe it's cosmicpause.io.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So you go to cosmicpause.io, basically like their first generation was, they did Leica. And the first generation, if you go to my collection, OpenSea.io/NateFT, you can see I have 2 of their first generation mint Leicas. And Leica was the dog that the Russians threw up on, I believe, Sputnik 12, one of the Sputnik shuttles. I'm probably getting all this wrong, but Leica was didn't survive the flight. Like basically she landed too hard, unfortunately. And and like if you look at it like through time, like so many animals were shot into space, and now we know like almost all we know about space exploration like really comes from animals and us just like testing,
right.
And so like to give these animals a second chance and to remember them, commemorate them, and really reincarnate them in the metaverse is the real goal here. They've done this project. So they did 1,069 of the first drop of the Leicas. Now they're doing Star, which is another dog that I believe the Russians shot up. I don't remember her full name, Lazeshka or something Russian. But they're now available for mint. And I find a lot of value in that project. You know what I mean? Like the value in that, there's a lot of value in it, in that, like, first of all, the artists are OG, like, come on, you got Mike Mongo, and then you got Kyle Schember is the videographer for SpaceX. Anytime you're watching a SpaceX stream, you're watching my buddy Kyle do the videography for it. So like the artists are OG, right? Then you look at like, what's the mission behind the project? Well, like you're doing this like awesome, like you're trying to reincarnate these dogs in the metaverse and like really like pay homage to what they've done, as well as give them new life in this new dimension. And what me and Mike have really talked about, and this is where it gets really heady, and like the idea that like the metaverse isn't fake. It's not a fake reality. It's another dimension of our reality, right? Like it exists. And as we like create like verification of ownership, verification of digital scarcity, verification of like, this token exists. If it gets burned, it's dead, like, so could you create, like, if we created digital entities, would we then mint them as tokens and be like, I'm a non-fungible token, like I'm not fungible with anything else. I'm Nate, like, so like it becomes to this idea of like, are we developing this fourth dimension? Like, are we creating this space that like, I want to Ready Player One, or like this like virtual reality, almost like the Matrix, but no, prefer like hopefully the Matrix is over here, dystopian. Ready Player One's over here. I'd like something way the hell over here, non-dystopian, but
I'm kind of rooting for the dystopian, if I'm being honest, man.
Well, dude, I look at the science, bro, and we're heading to it's hard to point our fingers at what we're heading towards, but I'll tell you what I think we're heading towards. We're heading towards turning into the fucking Greys. We're turning into aliens. We're going to space. Elon Musk is doing all of it. He's going to space. He's putting computers in our brains. He's turning electric cars. Boring Company. The Boring Company. Come on. Why is he starting the Boring Company? Because we're going underground when the environment dies. Do you know about Neuralink? Do you know the OG?
I do.
Neuralink fucking blows my mind. At first, I'm like, dude, I want to put a computer in your brain. No, fuck you. We're gonna use it to cure severe brain injuries first. Okay. I'm listening. All right. okay, then you'll be able to download more. You'll be able to hook yourself to a computer if you want. When we get the technology right, you'll be able to have more computing power. So I'll be able to think faster. So I can control my ADHD. So I can run multiple like, oh, I get a thought. Oh, I don't have to give away this thought. Just put that on the RAM. Are you fucking serious? Yeah. Oh, you're going to Portugal? You don't speak Portuguese? Download Portuguese. Oh, you follow.
That's what I was gonna say. It's very
you can
much
download languages, and like I was watching that Joe Rogan episode where, of course, he said I don't believe in masks, and he has since said I shouldn't have said that, but like I was like, well, this sucks. But in that episode when he talks about Neuralink, I'm like, holy shit.
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
I'm fucking down, Papa Elon. Drill a hole in my brain, bro. Let's go. I am so down for Neuralink.
After he does it to you, like same, but after he does it to you.
Down.
You
honestly,
first.
Down. I don't give a fuck. Are you serious? Dude, I am so down for that. And I'm a techie anyways. Like I'm right. But like you think about it, like we're already in symbiosis. Like I've already got this phone that I've already 100%. Looked at 3 times while I'm here. Like I'm already checking 100%. Notifications. Like if I leave this at home, I feel like I left without my third arm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
And we're already going in that direction. And then like I think of that, and then I think about NFTs, and like we're building this like this layer of verifiable immunity. Like we're creating reality almost. That's what reality is, right? Like it's immutable. You can't fuck with reality. Reality is reality. Like this vape is red. You guys see that it's red?
Yep.
We all agree it's red. Now you might think that you might actually be seeing blue, but have been calling blue red your whole life. But we all agree and have this set immutable reality where we call this red. So that's reality. And so when we talk about like creating digital immutability, it's like this is really one of the hard steps we need to creating a digital reality. And that's why like we see crypto voxels popping off and all these like the Sandbox and Decentraland popping off. And like once you get these ideas, you realize like the value is OG and you get sucked in. And but yeah, that's what I I got bronchitis. Give me 1 sec. Bronchitis. But like I look for value in projects, you know what I mean? Like sometimes I see a project and I'm like, that art's dope. I just want it and I buy it, and I have a lot of things like that. Like I probably will never flip. Like I just bought a bunch of Tubby Cats and Goon Cats. There are a couple projects on Polygon. I poured all my ETH on Polygon into you saw the Goon Cat, I think, Derek, right? And Cody, yes, I don't know if you're watching my collection, but I just had a bunch of ETH on Polygon, and then I saw these cats and the Goon Cat, and I'm like, sweet. I spent most of my ETH on that, and then Mike Mongo shared Tubby Cats, and I'm like, shit, I have enough for 2. These are dope. And I spent, without thinking, I spent all my entire portfolio on Polygon on cat NFTs. It wasn't a lot, but like right. It's like $80, but like, you know what I mean? Like I didn't buy those to flip them. I bought them because like that art's dope. And so like when I look at my collection and I pull it up, so I like looking at my collection. Like I like going through and being like, oh, what's the floor on these? Like, oh, what's going on in this community right now? Like Sewer Rat Social Club's one of those. I love my sewer rats. Like there's a lot of utility to them and the community's great. And like, there's just great artists behind it. Just looking here, like I've got a lot of airdrops I've gotten. I minted a couple delectables by Food Mascu. He was my last interviewee. He's awesome.
I listened to that podcast. It was a very interesting podcast that you did with him.
I love him.
And here to see somebody starting out making masks with fruit and stuff. That's pretty
brilliant.
It was pretty. Brilliant. Yeah, it was very dope. But that guy's definitely a what I would call creative genius. I do also, just to take one step back real quick, I was looking at this cosmicpause.io. One really cool thing about it is once you connect your wallet, you don't just mint right away, you generate first. So you actually generate what the NFT would be, and you can keep generating until you find one that you like, and then you mint it. That's pretty dope.
Exactly.
That's pretty dope, actually.
That's like, first of its kind, actually.
Yeah, I've never seen that before. Again, that's dope though. It's like it's not some random NFT you're buying. You don't know what it is. You literally generate until you find one you like, or it creates one that you like, and then you mint it. That's pretty dope in my opinion. So just step back on that just to say I thought that was really cool when you were talking about it and I was looking at it.
And that's just another selling point.
Go ahead.
That's another thing that adds value, like especially historically. Like you see a project that's doing something that you've never seen before. get in. Like, I don't know if you guys heard about Wolf.game. Do you guys hear about Wolf Game?
I was late though. I was late again.
Me too. Don't you hate that? I mean, that's the nature of the space. Like, there's some things where like we didn't miss that. Like, that's why I just try to stay. I never feel negative that I missed something. Like, I love just like I like watching it. Like, you're part of the experience, you know. But like Wolf Game, the reason that people are hot on it is because the first NFT game that your NFTs can steal other NFTs. Yep. So wolves can steal sheep. So like when you minted, you had a 1 out of 10 chance of getting a wolf, and then you got 9 out of 10 were sheep. The sheep you can shear and get wool token. Wool token is worth like a quarter, like it's like worth like 25 cents or something right now. So like I got a buddy that has a Gen 0 sheep. He's like netting like a stupid amount of like I think he said like I don't want to parse words, but I think he said at least like $1,000 a week. But I want to say like he might have said $1,000 a day. I don't remember, but it was something like 1,000 of this token from the game that he minted for like 0.08. And like, you know, it's that people are like, what do you mean? Like, you can steal other people's NFTs? That's dope. Buy in. And so like they sold out like that. Their Gen Zeros, you can only like their next generations, you can only buy with the wool token. So the wool token goes through the roof. Like, and like they built this economy that's just brilliant, and it's fun and it's cool to watch. Like my buddy Matt, shout out to Purple Terrier. He's one of my best friends in the space. And but Perp hit me up and he's like, yo, like go through all these contracts, figure out how if I'm gonna lose my sheep on staking it from the farm. Like I'm like, all right. And I looked through, I'm like, honestly, bro, they built this thing to really make sure you don't know. Like, like they used some like the life work of some like mathematician who wrote like some like alias theory it's called or something. It's probably some mathematicians are probably like, oh yeah, alias theory. Oh, but like I read about it, I'm like, yeah, there's no fucking way I'm figuring this shit out. Fuck that. Good luck, Matt. He had staked, he was fine, but
they did run into issues though. Did you see or hear that they ran into a bunch of issues where I forget exactly what happened? Was it somebody was able to steal wool, or do you know what happened exactly? Or
there was some sort of loophole. I'm not familiar, but shit like that happens, you know. You gotta like projects come through with that shit all the time. And like the important thing, in my opinion, is that I don't know. I'm here for the ride, bro. Like, and the ride's treated me well so far. And like when you get into this, if you get into this space and you're not here for the art, you're not here for the experience in the community, and like you're like, oh, these things are like, you know, going up in value, then frankly, you're not going to know why they go up in value to begin with. Like if you think this is just trading penny stocks and like you can just scalp these, like, no, that's not the deal. Like most of the NFTs I bought, like I've sold some NFTs, but like most of the NFTs I bought, I'm up on them, but I plan on holding them for a long period. Like I'm looking at all mine right now, and like even my I got a hash by Proof of Beauty. Like that's of no value because you can continue to mute. It's a value, but like you can continue to mint them. You know what I mean? Okay. Like I bought it on the secondary, and you can mint them at any time. But like I love the colors of it, and I think it's dope. So I put it in my collection, and I think like as I grow in the space too, like, oh, this is Nate's wallet. Like this is the NateFT wallet. Like this is his collection. And like, you can see the shit that I'm involved in. And like, a lot of it's dope. Like I got stuff from my interviewees. I got stuff from like people I like support. I have like screensaver V0 stuff that like that marketplace is closed now. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just OG shit. So like, I feel like, you know, I'm mostly in it for the ride. I buy NFTs because I like them, and I don't spend. When I buy NFTs, I'm like, I'm buying this because I like the art and I want to support the artist and I want to have a part of that. I want it to be in my collection. But like by doing that, by effect, by networking and being involved in the community, by like podcasting and like getting like knowing people, like I have people that hit me up that are like, yo, here's a moon project. And I'm like, yo, dope. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and so like I think that's why like I'm up in most of my stuff, because like, and none of my shit's moon, but like I'm not down in any of it, you know what I mean? Like in ETH value or in value of ETH, you know? And I think that's because I have a good eye for like what is a good NFT and what's going to be in demand, because I myself like collecting NFTs. Like I like NFTs. Like I like the idea of digital art.
You're not just in it for the money, or
exactly. I posted on Facebook my first post in like 3 months the other day, and I just wrote, I collect blue chip digital art.
Right.
Nobody in my regular life gets what I do. Like they don't get only other person that gets what I do in my real life is Tonio. He's my best friend. Like we just vibe on it. Like my house right now, we have 5 3D printers that I was going to mention. My friend Gabriella Truba, she's more of an acquaintance, but a friend. You know, I don't know her too well, but she's really good friends with Tonio, and she just hooked him up with a steel on 3D printers. So we've been playing with like Cubicons and microboxes for like a couple weeks. It's awesome. But and I did want to.
I did hear. I listened to your podcast. Well, first I saw a Twitter post where you said that like $10,000 worth of 3D printers just showed up on my doorstep. And then I saw where you were talking about it. I forget who you were talking with today on one of your podcast episodes where you're talking and you had mentioned what brand did you say you ended up getting again? Or
Cubicons. Yeah, we've got 3 Cubicons and 2 maker boxes. And
maker boxes is what I've been looking at. I don't have any right now, but I've been looking at the maker box.
We've only been playing with the Cubicons. I gotta go like learn the maker boxes. Tonio's a professional. Tonio worked with Gabby. Gabby's actually the founder and creator of a platform called WOMP, which is, I don't know if you've heard of it. It's still in beta testing, but it's a browser-based 3D modeling software, and it's brilliant. You can learn more at womp.xyz. And Gabby's brilliant as well, and she's been scoring, you know, VC everywhere, and like, you know, she's going to the moon. Like the project is really a good thing to be involved in, and I love that I'm just a couple degrees from involvement in, you know, with that, you know, having that connection. But like yeah, she hooked us up with the 3D printers, so we've been playing with those. I 3D printed this. This is Droppy, the Drop, and he is a character I made up when I was a kid, and I'm actually going to do a generative collection on Droppy the Drop, and his friends, Flamey and Icy and Stony. And I think
that's pretty cool. I mean, so is it like representing like a water drop, I'm assuming?
Yeah, they're like little elementals, and like
that's like, pretty dope.
They also, like, I used to like draw cartoons of him like skateboarding and like wearing beanies and like being cool, and like, so I'm gonna make it like kind of adult, I think. Like he's gonna smoke weed, like whatever.
Right.
But like, you know, it's an NFT project, but like, you know, I'm gonna do these characters, and I think I'll try to add some utility to the tokens and like leave a little bit of a mutability on the contract so I can add some cool shit, you know, like, and now that I code in Solidity, I'm like, you know, I'm like, what can I do? And like, I'm realizing what I can do, and there's a lot. But yeah, and one thing before I forget, I just want to say, you know, shout out to Gabby, because she's the first one. Me and Tonya were starting an NFT platform in the beginning of the year that kind of the execution wasn't right. Now we learned a lot from it, and that's why we're now executing something a lot smoother. But it was called Hypto, and we were starting it. When we were starting it, Gabby was in on this room with me, and she's like we were talking about building it, and all of our devs were in the room, and Gabby was like telling all of us like, yo, fuck developing, fuck building. Don't worry about any of that shit right now. Build a community right now. Build a community. Like, find a way to get memeable and build a community right now. Like, that's it. That's all you need.
Right.
And none of us really got it at the time. Like, we were like, dude, come on, we got to build an app. Like, we got to make something that works. Like, we got to make a product we're proud of. Like, but now I get it. It's like, dude, it doesn't matter what you build. Like, I find artists all the time. I'm like, dude, your shit is dope. Like 3D renders. You look at some of the stuff on screensaver.world or like on Hicketnunk or like all these I think you were talking about Hick on your last episode, actually, right?
Yeah.
Hicketnunk. Yeah.
Yep.
Like all these like places where you get like people sell 1-of-1s and the gas fees are lower, and frankly the art goes for a lot cheaper too.
Yeah, but I think it's dope as art on there compared to a lot of the normal PFPs.
Can I interject real quick? Is that one of those sites that we were looking at that we saw some awesome shit?
Yeah, it's the one where in my oncyber.io, it's Tezos.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those in my oncyber.io gallery.
Yeah, that was the one. Yeah, that's the one that I was talking about. It wasn't on the main, like what we all know as the main, you know, like currencies or the top currencies. So that's why when we heard Tezos, at the time I was like, what the hell is this? I've never even heard of this. But they had like some really sick art, like you said, 1-of-1s versus being at, you know, 100,000, you know, PFPs that they're just swapping out the same elements on the people.
Yeah, there's some crazy creativity there.
I think they're based in Thailand, if I remember right.
No, it's Hicketnunk is Portuguese. They're based in Brazil.
Portuguese. Okay.
Yeah, I think it stands
a lot
for
different
all or
types
nothing.
of artists. Okay.
I think it stands for everything or nothing. I believe. I could Google it real quick. What does HIC
Okay,
translate?
I didn't even realize it was a word in another language.
I
To be
didn't
honest.
either.
I always want.
Yeah.
Honestly, I always said.
Here
I
and
think I
now.
even told Cody. I'm like, it's a stupid name website, but it has no bar.
It's Latin actually. It's Latin.
Latin.
It's
Okay.
here and now. But I do know that they're from Brazil. They're based in Brazil.
Okay, awesome. I
yeah.
couldn't remember. I knew they were another country outside the United States. But yeah,
they're actually.
I think
they're community run now, actually, because I believe. Well, some shit happened a couple weeks ago, and like their website went down, and their head dev wrote in the Discord like, "Yo, can somebody from the community host the website?" And then the whole website was down for like a week, and then it went. I think people from the community picked it back up, and I think it's all community run now. Hickenug's awesome. Hickenug is great, and I believe it will be longly considered a serious part of NFT history. Another one that doesn't get as much like follow through, but I believe in strongly that I keep referencing is screensaver.world. And that's a layer 2 marketplace on Polygon on Matic network.
Okay.
And like these marketplaces have found a lot of demand because they're low gas, and because they're low gas, collectors show up because they're like, I can actually buy art for $10 and not spend $100 to get it.
Yep.
And then the artists are like, I can mint pieces for pennies on the dollar, pennies on the dollar, like pennies on the penny, really. Like it costs like 0.003 Matic to mint something on screensaver.world. That's like 0.0004 cents right now.
Yeah, and we've done some stuff with Solana where it's like that, where we've minted some things over on Solana network where it's pretty cheap.
Yeah, and I've got one or two pieces on Matic too that I've picked up recently. But yeah,
I'm long on Matic. I'm long on Tezos. I hate to be that guy.
This.
I don't like Solana, but I'll tell
that's
you why.
Fine. I don't either, actually. I've from the beginning I've told
not
Cody,
decentralized at all.
I think yes, that too, but I also I'm sorry, I know people like to shit on Ethereum, but they're making changes. Gas fees are going to come down, and these layer 2s like Matic that's coming on, or Immutable X that are being built on top of Ethereum that then have the low gas fees. I just think that means Ethereum wins at the end of the day. Why do you need Solana? Even Tezos. I mean, I like Tezos, but why do you need those if you can do in Ethereum that same stuff and it is powered by Ethereum, so to say? So I guess my question I was going to ask that is, what are your thoughts on like these layer 2s versus these people making separate chains like Solana, like Tezos, versus like, where do you think it's going to head maybe, or what is your thoughts in that regard?
There will always be a place for them. I think it was the CEO not the CEO, but the head of Polygon who said that Polygon's biggest advantage is that it as a disruptor, like if ETH is not cutting it, Polygon is able to cut it. Like Polygon started as like the whole problem right now with ETH is that it's for your viewers who might not know, it's a proof of work mechanism. So it's a proof of work blockchain similar to Bitcoin. And what proof of work means is basically they make up this really, really complicated puzzle that your computer has to solve. And then you have to have the solution to it and the longest block. And I'm butchering this explanation, just so you know. But long story short, it basically comes down to you have to solve this really hard puzzle, and it takes a lot of computing space to do that. Like it takes a lot of computing memory and electricity, right? So like basically it's not environmentally friendly, and also because of the mechanism, the system can only process so many transactions a second. Ethereum, I believe it's like it can only process 13 transactions a second, which is crazy. And that's why we basically see these really high gas fees, why it costs you $100 just to put through a simple transaction, and why we see what's basically happening is a bidding war. Like you have to put your transaction that high just for somebody to consider picking it up, because all like that's what like the demand is. So the idea with what ETH2 is that they're trying to switch ETH from proof of work to proof of stake. And the way proof of stake works is that to run a node, you have to have a certain amount of ETH. I think they're setting it at 32 ETH or 32 Ether. And you have to have that, and basically like you validate, instead of being a miner, you're a validator. You're not mining transactions and picking them up, you're validating transactions. And if your transactions come through as like not valid on the rest of the blockchain and it doesn't match up, then you get deducted whatever you have staked. Like you can lose your stake of ETH if you put up a false block. So by doing that, it creates, consensus. And by doing that, it creates consensus without having to solve like a really difficult puzzle and use up all that computing space. It'll also open up the blockchain. I believe, if I remember, I was listening to Vitalik Buterin in his interview with Lex Friedman on his podcast. And
great episode, by the way.
Yes, sir. I actually model a lot of my podcasts on the Lex Friedman show now. But
yeah, I
do interviews prior. I do the intros prior. And
did you hear just not to sidetrack too much, but did you hear his with Tim Ferriss with Vitalik? That was really good as well. Really good one as well. If you
I'll have to check that out.
Interested. But anyways,
continue. They're thick. You gotta slow.
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta pause and be like, wait, what
thick.
The fuck did he just say? Oh, okay.
Yep.
But yeah, so ETH is trying to go to the proof of stake system, and they're having a hard time because their whole system's on proof of work. So it's like a transfer they have to make. Whereas Polygon is built exactly like ETH, but it's already proof of stake. So they just started the way that they started as ETH2. They don't have to do a transfer. So that's how Solidity works. And that's why that's how Polygon works. And that's why you can code in Solidity in the bytecode, like any contract that you deploy on Ethereum mainnet, you can deploy on Matic mainnet too. Because it's literally the same blockchain, just proof of stake, criticism of it, I don't like that they only have, as far as I can tell, as far as I've looked, I could be wrong on this, but I think they only have 5 nodes right now, which is not super decentralized. But that does mean that it is decentralized to an extent. And just for your viewers' safety, if you don't realize or know that Solana a couple months ago, their blockchain crashed and their developers rebooted it. And if your developers can reboot your blockchain, guess what? It's not decentralized at all. So it's a permission system that you have to apply to be to run a node on Solana, and they have to approve you, and they have to like you, and that's not decentralized. I'm sorry, that's censored.
Yeah, and I think people.
Not saying there isn't great art there, but
yeah. Mm-hmm. I will say, I think what we're going to see is, I've always told people, the way I've always explained it to my viewers, to Cody, as I've shared with him, is like, everybody wants Bitcoin to be that. And I'm like, Bitcoin is not competing with Ethereum. You need some of those chains that are proof of work, that are super complicated to solve problems, that do use a lot of electricity to store value, because you want them unhackable. You want them to be super decentralized. You want them to be, and I don't know that proof of stake holds that up entirely, because there is still some, even with Ethereum moving to proof of stake, you still do. I mean, because you're relying on all parties being truthful. And yes, they have a mechanism in place that if you are found out to be untruthful, you could lose what you're staking. But that's the key word of if you're found out to be. So that means there is an option there that you could be found out. Or that could happen, or else they wouldn't even have that mechanism in place in the first place of taking people's ETH. So I think, and I'm not saying that makes Ethereum bad or that it's still not a good chain. I think proof of stake's excellent for what Ethereum is, dApps and all of that. It makes perfect sense. But I don't think you'd ever want to put something like Bitcoin and switch that to a proof of stake network. Personally, you might disagree. I don't know. But that's kind of the way I look at it. Is I tell people I think that's where people are going to store their value in the future. Mostly. And Ethereum's where you're going to transact on basically Ethereum's a computer, man. Like it literally is a blockchain computer, honestly.
It's exactly what it is. It's a virtual world computer. So the idea is let's imagine that you and I have a document on a computer, right? And it's on my laptop right here, right? And you're in the room and I'm in the room, and it's a Word document, and I change the Word document and you change the Word document. We're like, cool. Then I turn the computer off and I take it home, right? You can't trust that computer is set. If it's turned off, then, and then it's gone and out of your vision, it could be turned on somewhere else off your network. You don't know what's good. So what we end up getting with Ethereum is a world machine, a computer that's always on. What the state of the computer is immutable. What its memory holds is immutable. And to change it, the only way you can change it is through a transaction, which itself is recorded and immutable. So like that's the idea. Even if you could like delete something from a blockchain, you would still record that you deleted it. So like there really is no deleting something from a blockchain, you know?
Right.
When we say burning a token, all we really do is send it to the address 0x000000000000, because that's the null address, and you're sending it to hell. Like, you know, that's pretty much what you're doing. So like in that idea, like where you were going at, like the Ethereum virtual machine has its utility as programmable money, you know.
Yep.
But as a store of value, we are seeing Bitcoin, and it has established itself as the store of value that is to stand. I mean, I think it just flipped silver, didn't it? And they say it's flipped silver.
You know, I'm going to be honest with you. I am so uninterested in gold and silver or any type of a real world asset that I have no fucking clue what those things trade at. All I know is what Bitcoin and Ethereum price is.
Well, exactly. And I mean, that's me too, but I like hearing those little things like those.
I do
those
too.
Kind of like comparisons, you know, like the little comparisons like that. Like I continue to believe that we are all so freaking early in this space. Like we are 100%. So early in crypto and NFTs. And the reason I believe that is the statistic that I believe it was just in May of 2021, that the number of people, Bitcoin is the most held, has the most individual users of any cryptocurrency. The number of individual users and holders of Bitcoin just in May surpassed the number of people that were using the internet in 1997.
Wow. Yeah.
So think about that comparison. Like that's saying like no, who the fuck was using the internet in 1997? Like
this guy.
Yeah, I mean, I was emailing in 2000. Like I was 6. Like whatever. But like still, like, you know, things were not like JavaScript. I don't even think was big at that point. Like, you know, like
it was all message boards, and that was about it. That was the internet, message boards.
Yep, exactly. And then you look at the fact that like we're talking individual holders to individual users of the internet. That's when the population was what it was in 1997. Now the population of the world is what it is today.
Right.
So we are ridiculously early, and like the people that get it. I mean, it doesn't surprise me at all that Jack Dorsey just resigned as CEO of Twitter, because he's going to turn, I don't know if you heard, but he announced that he's going to turn Square into blocks, and he's developing a Web3 company. Like I read their white paper the other night, not all of it, but some of it, like, and basically he's like,
go ahead. I was just going to say, go ahead.
Go ahead. Say it. Let's say it. I'll remember.
I was just going to say that, I've been following that. He actually, I mean, if you look back, he did interviews where I think that's where he wanted Twitter to go. He wanted Twitter to become a decentralized platform where people couldn't, even like whether you're pro Donald Trump or against, I'm not, you know, none of that. I'm not going into politics, but I'm just saying when all that happened with them removing it, he was very much against removing and starting to censor people. I just think he got overridden, honestly, and I think that's what has led him to leave Twitter and now go start his own Web3 company. But I think originally his goal, at least if you watched any of his previous interviews and stuff, it kind of shocked me when he left, because he always talked about turning Twitter into a Web3 company, a decentralized social media network, where again people couldn't be banned, everybody had the same access to the platform, all that stuff. I just think he got, you know, shareholders, man. But so that's all I was adding on to what you were saying.
I mean, he even said that, like, you know, he felt like the idea of, I think he said in his exit email, he was like, you know, the idea of like this founder, like has to be founder run, I think that holds us back, you know, and like a company can grow by getting different ideas. And like, you know, but at the same time too, I mean, his bio at his Twitter has been hashtag Bitcoin for the last 3 years or something stupid like that. Like the guy obviously has been looking at this, and like, you know, the opportunity, the statistic that I was going to name that he named in the Blocks white paper, he said, you know, there's like, I don't remember, I think he said it's like 1.7 billion people on the planet that can't get financial services. And the reason they can't get it is either because there's no banks around them, they can't get to the banks, they're held back by some sort of restrictions, some sort of this or that, like they live in remote areas. 2/3 of those people have a mobile phone and could access cryptocurrencies. So that is a huge chunk of the world to empower financially. And that's a good thing, you know, that brings up a huge chunk of the world. Like there's cryptocurrencies that are focusing on this, like Digibyte is one of them that I like a lot, and I'm long on that, you know, and they've just been a sure but slow grower over the years, like, you know, gone from many like triple trips to, you know, now they're worth like 6 cents. But I know people that have like, you know, 600,000 of the things, you know, they're very long, they're very long Digibyte. But like one of their utilities is that they're trying to make it become a currency in Southeast Asia for marketers like fishermen and farmers and different markets that wouldn't regularly have financial services available at their markets, to be able to use these for like means of transfer, you know. And they're more useful than, you know, these kind of things. I mean, this is just one of the spaces that like the great frontiers that can be opened up, is just opening up financial services to people that can't get them. I mentioned earlier, one of the companies I like a lot is Humble, and they not financial advice, just a cool company. But I paid my rent for 3 months at the beginning of the year by riding their pumps. So who am I? All disclosure. But their idea is like, you know, they leverage the blockchain technologies to create to be able to use to be able to provide financial services to people that usually couldn't get them. Like I don't know if you guys have any family that's overseas or have ever had to send money to somebody overseas, but the way you do it right now is you go to Western Union, you wait in line for an hour, you pay a $10 fee. It takes 3 days to 5 days to get there. Some parts of the world, it takes a week to get there. They got to go to a Western Union, wherever the hell that is, could be hours away in the country they're in. They get there, they got to pay another fee. They get the money out, right?
Yep.
You've spent $20, waited a week, and wasted a day, both of you, right? They were doing product talk. What am I thinking? Interchange. They were talking about what would the term be for this? I guess doing market research. Yeah, market research. They were doing market research for Humble, because what their idea was, they're going to do a blockchain-based peer-to-peer payment app like Venmo or like Cash App. Okay. And like with those, if you transfer overseas, it still takes 3 days because of regulation. But if they can leverage blockchain to create an immutable ledger to say, hey, look, you're cool, and then have proper transfers into the local currencies, their idea is that instead of having this whole process, you could do it in 6 hours.
Right.
Cell phone to cell phone. So there was this lady in New Zealand when they were doing market research on it, and she was like, they were like, you know, like, what does it take for you to send money to your family right over in Australia? And she's like, I have to drive an hour and a half. I got to wait in line an hour at the Western Union. And then I send it to him. I pay a $20 fee. Then it takes like a week to get there. Then he gets it. He's got to pay another fee. Like, if you could just do it on your phone, it took 6 hours to do. Would you do it? She's like, yeah, like, of course. And that's what they found across the board. So, you know, the way the financial system works right now, it doesn't benefit everybody. It doesn't put power in the hands of regular people. And it doesn't, like the traditional financial systems they're not accessible to regular people. They really aren't. And it takes a lot to do. Like day trading penny stocks. Like if you're just reading charts and scalping all day, usually you got to have $25,000 in your account to do that. Do it on Polygon. You paid zero, like almost no transaction fees. I day trade all day on Polygon. Fuck it. It's fun.
Right. Well, let me ask this, talking about you know, that over hold on, I had a question. Hold on, it's gonna escape my mind. I just had a good question for you.
You got it.
I forget it actually. I forget it. But yes, I mean, I agree. I know a lot of third world countries have, you know, leapfrogged because of a lot of the tech companies. I know Facebook did a lot of stuff in third world countries because they wanted to get people onto Facebook. So they literally set up cell phone towers in areas where they don't even have normal electricity running in their houses. And I've literally seen where they had people charging their phones with a bicycle that they built into a generator to charge their cell phones, because they don't have normal power, but they have cell phones. So it is very cool that they've been able to get that, you know, that they've kind of, you know, these places don't even have regular phones. They just leapfrogged all the way over to cell phones and stuff. So it's been cool seeing that. And I definitely think there is a lot of space there. And I remember one thing I was gonna mention though, is I have dealt with, you know, I've been in the internet from the very beginning, like I said, early days of message boards. And I've done a lot of affiliate marketing in the early days, back when affiliate marketing first started on the internet specifically, was really high into it. And I remember dealing with companies in different currencies and stuff. And I remember my first experience was I got paid from this company, but they were in England, and they had to send me a wire to my bank for $50. And I ended up having to pay $100 to my bank in fees for accepting the wire transfer of $50. So I actually ended up losing $50. And like my bank would not do nothing because they're like, we got to charge the fee. It's what comes from the other bank. Da, 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 da. I'm like, so then I'm like, well, I don't even want it. Well, they can't stop the wire transaction. It came through. There's nothing they can do about it. I got to pay the fee. So anybody could literally send me a wire transfer and you would have to pay the fee. I mean, it's crazy some of the stuff they do. But so I'm definitely down for all of that stuff with the finance. Oh, I remember my question though. So with what you were talking about with everybody kind of, you're saying like everybody being empowered by finance. That's, all of us crypto, including myself, so I'm not like putting shade at you, but we all love to say that like, this is going to revolutionize finance in the world. Everybody's holds their own money. Everybody's their own bank. Da, 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 da. But the flip side where I've heard some arguments, and I'm just curious to hear your thoughts, is where people will say, listen, but like even Bitcoin, there's a lot of wallets that hold a lot of the Bitcoin. So it's really not as decentralized. And so you hear sometimes people that'll say that they don't, that we almost need a currency that comes out that is almost airdropped to everybody in the world at a starting amount and then goes from there. Have you ever heard that thought, or have you heard people talking about that, and just kind of what's your curiosity on how much Bitcoin is? Because even you said like how early we are in the NFT space. I mean, that's the same honestly in crypto. Maybe it's a little bit more ahead because it's been out longer. So that means there's a whole lot of people today that still aren't even holding Bitcoin or any of these cryptocurrencies that could potentially, again, this is their argument, not necessarily mine, but could potentially screw that whole idea of a decentralized finance that empowers everybody in the world.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, you got this trade-off that everybody talks about between like, it can be summed up to like, how decentralized is decentralized enough? Right. You're never going to get 100%. It's impossible. What is that? That's me handing you money that I invented that you accept is basically, I guess, what that would be, like, because even when I hand you $1, there's still the institution of the United States Treasury that verifies and validates that fiat currency. So like, this idea of like how decentralized is decentralized enough, like, yeah, there are a lot of whales that hold a lot of the Bitcoin. Like there are a lot of currencies that like, there are some currencies out there that like, you don't realize that like the dev team still holds 80% of the token and they can dump it at any time, like there's things like that out there. And, XRP, and like
Ripple.
I don't know the stats on that one, but that's because I have a good enough radar to say I'm good. You know what I mean? I don't know anything about that one because I know just enough about that one that like
you stay the fuck away from that one.
I've seen times that I'm like, shit, should have bought, but like, like there's other times that I'm like, yeah, that looks like a lot of drama. I like simple tokens. I like, like GM token. I bought some of them. Like I'm down in it.
Did you? I
didn't know and I'm down in it, but like I don't care because I'm like, I just wanted some GM token. Like GM, I love it. I don't know if you I'll get to my last point, but I don't know if you heard my interview with Four Thanks podcast.
I did a little bit of that one.
His name is GM.
Yeah.
Literally, he put out an album in 2011 called the GMEP. Like he's a rapper called GM. And he runs a hip hop and NFTs. Like tough life. He doesn't care. He loves it. But like still, I'm like, Jesus. But so yeah, this idea of like how decentralized is too decentralized, and you're never gonna get perfect. But like at the same time, like you need just enough of it that it empowers people, like that's what, like when I was saying earlier, like I don't like Solana because they can reboot their blockchain. All right, well, how much power have they put in the hands of artists? I'm seeing stuff. I'm hearing people say, "Oh, I have friends that are selling out on Solana. I have people doing great on Solana." Yeah. And like, if that's empowering artists, is that a bad thing? Yeah, I don't think so. So like, to an extent, I think what's important is like everybody that's involved in the economy, how are they benefiting? And are they all benefiting? Like are the people that buy the token, is the token going up consistently over time? Maybe not like stably, but like with a certain amount of volatility, but is the, are they, if you hold for a year, you're probably going to be in the green. Like I bought some ETH at $900 at the beginning of this year. Like, like cool. All the ETH I bought, I'm up on. All the NFTs I bought up on, I'm for the most part, I'm either up on or I love the art and I don't care. Like,
Right.
So like I'm looking at, like I looked through my collection a minute ago. I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of these. Like I'm probably never going to sell some of this stuff on Screensaver. I'm probably never going to sell a couple of these here and there, like that I'm looking at. But like I look at it and I'm like, there's nothing here I don't like. Like everything I bought is dope. Like this collection's sick. And like I can show people, like, look at this art I bought today. And they're like, oh, that's sick. Like, and like some of them are like, you can just copy and paste that. And I'm like, all right, that's the last one I show you. I hate to say this, like there's like, I have such confidence that Web3 is the future that like this is terrible to say, but like I got really into NFTs the last 6 months as I like broke up with my ex and then kicked her out of my house because I was working 2 full-time jobs and taking care of our child full-time. Not to hash out my personal life, but and I didn't kick her to the curb. I just said, you need to have a plan to leave or I'm going to move out at the end of the month. And then she was like, I'll leave tonight. But like I was getting hard into NFTs and like she's probably thinking like, oh, I hate NFTs, fucking bullshit. NFTs. Nate likes NFTs. And then like in a year from now, she's like, oh yeah, we're going to the concert. Oh, sick. Like, did you print out the tickets? No, it's an NFT. What? Like these things, your cars, I'm long on your car is going to be an NFT. Your car is going to come with an NFT that shows a record, an immutable record of every time it's got an oil change, every time it's got like every time you put gas in it, every time you charge your Tesla, we can record that immutably. Like there's so much utility, jewelry, so much stuff. I'm like, how much can I talk about? Because there's actually projects I'm working on. I'm not allowed to talk about, but like straight up, like there's just so much utility. And I genuinely believe that this technology is going to be in everything very shortly. So
yeah, I agree. I think house
and I'm just confident with
car titles, house deeds, marriage certificates, that'll all be eventually. I mean, how soon that happens, I don't know, but that'll all eventually, because even in IRL, we'll say, even though again, I agree with you that NFT and blockchain is IRL, but in the sense of offline, car titles can be faked, artwork can be faked, house deeds can be faked. I mean, it happens. Is it rare? Sure. But the one thing that can't be faked is that thing on the ledger. It just can't, unless, somebody comes up with a way to figure out how to hack these things, which, thus far we're going on
mathematically impossible
10 years and it hasn't happened yet. So every year, I always hear every year that it doesn't is another year that it will. Bitcoin though, I mean, maybe
yes.
other networks.
Oh, definitely Bitcoin. It has. It's just not worth it. Here's all right. So a team of MIT scientists in, I think it was like 2018, counterfeited a Bitcoin. They did. And they did it through a 51% attack. And of course, the institution of MIT had enough money to get access to enough computers and enough computing power that they could create, they could create a 51% attack, become the block that because the idea is like, if you have a consensus of if 51% of the network agrees with you, then you're accurate. So if you can fake 51% of the network, or you can create a network bigger than the whole network in your house so that it's 51% of the network, and then put that block out, everybody else's blocks fail and your block goes out correct, then yes, it's possible. Now the question is it worth it? Do you know how much fucking like power and computing power and organizational power, network power, databases, it took them, so basically the findings of the paper were like, it's possible, but like, it would cost you about, what's the market cap of Bitcoin? It would cost you about more than half of the market cap of Bitcoin to forge one Bitcoin. Is that worth it? Duh, no.
Right.
So, like now, now here's one thought that comes to mind. If you have a transaction that's recorded on a smart contract, right? Mm-hmm. And that transaction records something in real life that's worth more than half the network of Ethereum, then maybe it would be worth doing a 51% attack, right?
Right.
I kind of think, I don't want to I'll be quoted on this, but I think 51% attacks get invalidated by proof of stake, but I'm not sure about that because it's solving the hardest problem issue. It's like who put the most work into it is the question. Right. So yeah, but like, so yeah, like in exact wording, no, it's possible. It's just totally not worth it. It like you would have to, what are you going to do? Like you're going to hack 3 million computers at once or thousands of computers all over the world that some of which are on VPNs that you can't trace. Like, what do you, it's not worth it. Like it's just not worth it to do a 51% attack.
Yeah. And I guess I should have clarified. I mean, cause I did understand how, but yeah, I guess
I don't want to cut you off on it, but
because again, it is unhackable in the sense that it's not worth hacking. And especially as the Bitcoin network becomes larger and larger and more computers come onto the network, obviously it then becomes more and more difficult to, and costs way more money, and not even money, but I don't know if you could at least like not only the money, but you couldn't actually do, from my understanding, the network today, you would not be able to get enough power in one spot to do a 51% attack. So you'd actually still have to set up several areas around the world just in order to get the amount of electricity you would need to perform the attack. So yeah, it definitely gets harder the bigger it gets. So yes, I guess it is possible, but theoretically it's impossible because it's not worth it. But that is a great point.
Yeah, I like to be clear about things like that. It's just I'm an asshole.
No, it makes sense. I'm the same way. Me and Cody were arguing today about luck and the definition of luck because I'm not getting him started though. I'm just teasing you, man. I love you.
No, I was actually going to interject here anyways, man. Sure. Like the podcast, like I know I haven't said a whole lot. Anybody of our listeners out there, regular listeners, like, no, I mean, like I haven't said a lot, but that's because there's no way around. You guys are fucking leagues ahead above me. I mean, the crazy part is like, I have not got, like, I'm into crypto and NFTs, 3 months? Like that's that's legit. Yeah. Like that's literally, that's like everything. So like listening to you guys talk, there's a lot of stuff that I have no clue about, the stuff you're referencing, all that stuff. I mean, I've been taking notes here the entire time. Like, so things that I can research and look up, afterwards and everything, because I legitimately don't know. And to kind of just change the perspective a little bit from somebody coming into the space 3 months in that has literally never invested in any of this type of stuff. To be honest with you, it's scary. I mean, it's very scary. Like from my perspective, like, I mean, the biggest thing is, I am that class of people that you're referencing, that are new to the space, that, have no clue, about how, with the utility or, what it could be or how it's changing or revolutionizing the industry and all this other stuff. I don't know, I've got a friend that's, Derek Slater's here. I've got a friend of, or, a lot of other people, that are in the space, you know what I mean? But they're also not experts, you know what I mean? So a lot of it that I'm learning is off of them and I'm feeding off of that. And I'm like, I got some YouTube money, I got 40 something thousand, subs on YouTube. Like, I can shell some of this money out and try to invest in some of these things, but I'm still very cautious and leery, and I see something and I'm like, well, what's the value in this? And then, I get the same answer, or I get this and I'm just like, this sounds like a scam, dude. This sounds like a scheme. You know what I mean? They're just trying to take my money. And then, something turns around and it flips. I mean, or something happens, and then, sure, people are making money on a .eth, you know what I mean? I'm just like, okay, hold on a second. This is actually legit. I just have to somehow find that happy medium, like, okay, where the hell is the actual true stuff? You know what I mean? And not, somebody trying to just make a buck or flip something. And not only that, I'm trying to find out where my point is in the space. You know what I mean? I'm a graphic designer. That's what my job is. I'm an artist. I've been doing art my entire life since I can remember, and then now I've gotten into gaming, heavily gaming, and now I'm in mobile gaming, making content creation for that. And I'm starting to see the utility of NFTs and these metaverses, and I'm getting excited for all that stuff. But damn, dude, I tell you what, like Nate, I wish I fucking knew your information, man. I just want to pick that damn brain of yours because I don't know all of that stuff. It's crazy.
Well, you got to remember, you're talking to somebody that for the last 11 months, all of my free time, all I've done is read on this subject. Like, let me show you. Learn Ethereum. Mastering Ethereum. This is actually, I recommend highly if you're going to get a book on Solidity programming. This is the book by Andreas M. Antonopoulos and specifically Dr. Gavin Wood, who was the guy who wrote or developed the Solidity smart contract language with Vitalik.
And just to make Kodeations feel good, when I listen to Antopoulos, I feel like you feel, Cody.
JavaScript.
He's a fucking genius, man. That
Haskell.
guy.
Deep learning with Python. More JavaScript. Like, look at all these fucking books
You're building your own computer science program over
dude,
there, bro.
I've probably spent $1,000 on books this year. And like everybody I talk to, they're like, dude, don't waste your time on books. Like, just read the docs. And like, I do that and that's cool. Algorithms in Python. I do that and that's cool. But like at the same time, I find that if I read a book by a professional where they're like, I just absorb this one thing and like, here's this, I find I get more quality information and I'm able, like, they go into more depth, like they make shit clear. They start from the beginning. And like, if I do that and follow it from the beginning, then I absorb better. And I think it's also just because I'm a book guy. Like my room is like books. Like I got tons of books. Like all the children's books are over there for my kiddo. But
don't lie. We know you read them. We know you read
like, oh hell yeah, I do. You guys want to talk Fox and Soxonomics? So Fox is on socks, in socks, on Knox, in the box. So technically Socks and Fox are in the box too, but they're on Knox, so it doesn't look like they're in the box. But if you think about it, dog, I break that book down.
But favorite children's book you read to your kid?
Fox and Socks is a favorite.
Fox Socks? Okay.
But
what's
honestly,
her? Is it him or her?
I have her.
Charlotte, what's her favorite?
Charlotte Ray. She's too little to really point one out yet.
Okay.
We love a lot of the class. We read a lot of Eric Carle, but one we love. I don't remember the artist. I got it right here actually. The Wonky Donkey series.
It's so good.
With the Dinky Donkey and the Granny Donkey. We are big on these, and it's a father and a daughter and a grandma, and like my ex's mom bought it for us, so like we love it. Dude, love kids books.
Kodeations and I are both parents. Kodeations is a newer parent like yourself. Your son's almost 2 now, Cody, or
18 months.
18 months.
Nice.
Then I have a 10-year-old daughter with my wife, and then we have a 2.5-year-old son. So also that's why I was asking what your favorite kid book was, because I'm always looking for new books for the kids, because I'm also like you, I'm a big book reader. I read a ton. I use a Kindle because I don't want to have 50,000 books around my room. I use a Kindle, but I read a shit ton.
I'm cool with.
Go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm cool with physical kids books for my kid. I do. I get a lot of. I don't like the idea of having a lot of like print books and buying a lot of print books if I can read on my. It's more environmentally friendly, But at the same time, like when I'm like, I'm gonna get this book and I know I'm gonna keep it and I'm gonna take notes in it and I'm gonna mark it up and I'm gonna do it. Like that's why I bought all these books on blockchain and development, because like I know like this information I'm gonna keep for a long time. I'm gonna absorb. So, on the other hand, though, I'm also a proponent of all information should be free. So I don't use Kindle. I use a website called Library Genesis. Okay. And I pirate if you're a college student and you're listening, don't buy your books. Go to libgen.is. Just don't buy your books. Go to libgen.is.
Or just don't buy your books. I didn't buy any books in college. You know what I did? I just showed up to class with no books, and the instructors had books, and I was like, why the hell did all the classmates buy books, bro?
Pay attention.
Listen, I just told them, I'm like, I don't have any money to buy books. And almost every single professor, no joke, they had like 3 extra books. And then they were like, here, you can just use this one while you're in class. Never fucking bought a book. It's like, you know how much money I saved not buying books?
Jeez. Oh yeah. But if you want to have the book in PDF form, I mean, Library Genesis, I think they run it through Russian proxies. I don't really know. They used to. Now it's weird. Like when you go in, you search it, there'll be 4 download links. Get it in whatever form you want. 4 download links on each selection, and then pick usually the first one I pick, and that's got to that brings you to another website, and then you go back and click that link again, and then it downloads. So the whole thing's like cleared up, but college textbooks, scholarly literature, medical journals, scholarly journals, every fiction piece ever written, for
Easy
free.
to find on there.
Yeah.
Nice,
So
nice.
I'm big on reading. I'm big on learning, and I'm big on information and getting good, high quality information. But I hate the fact that so much of it is, $50 to a college professor that makes 150 grand a year. Great. Like it's nothing to them. $50 to me, my day job's a dishwasher at a grill. Fuck you. Like, $50 is money. Information is power, and like knowledge should be free, in my opinion. Should like companies have the right to use their ideas for a certain amount of time? Yeah, sure. But after a certain amount of time, everybody should be allowed to have whatever information and do whatever with it. And I think that we really hold back expansion of the human species and the human race by restricting information and restricting high quality information. A lot of people out there believe bullshit. And every time I'm like, this is a fact, right? They're like, that can't be a fact. This is a fact. I'm like, that's not a fact, because this is a scientific fact. Like, it's been fucking peer reviewed by like 30 PhD, like it's published in fucking Nature. Like, what that means? Like, it means that people that spend their entire lives studying this in public say it's right. But I'm supposed to listen to you. There's so much of that out there on both sides of everything. Everything.
Sides. I say that.
Both sides of everything. I have a side, but I'm on both sides of everything.
People, I'll get liberal sometimes heart me. I'll get Republican, and I tell them all every time in my chat. I'm like, listen, I hate both motherfucking sides, you assholes. Like, you're all assholes. So all right, very cool, very cool. Let's bring Cody into it, if you don't mind. Maybe as we start like wrapping up, maybe we can ask some more fun type questions to kind of move away from the deepness of NFTs and stuff. To start off, Cody was talking or do you have something to say first?
Nope, you're good.
I want to say one thing. Sure. Cody, I'll tell you, and a lot of your listeners probably thinking this too. Like, they're like, God, this kid's fucking talking at 100 miles an hour. Like, what I was trying to say is I'm just that kind of guy. Like, I studied chemistry in college, and I fucking dropped out 6 credits short just because I got bored. And then I shouldn't say this, but I have friends that while I was doing that, I plagiarized their entire college degrees for them. Hey, doctors, I love you. But I'm just that kind of guy. And then you got to note too, I've been drinking the shit like water and wine for a year now. It's been my passion and I've been making art, I've been networking, I've been staying on Clubhouse all day, I've been talking to people, I've been working with artists. I got people I call personally every day, like, yo, what's good? What are you working on? What's going on? What's the next move? It's my life, and it pulls you in. So don't feel intimidated right now. And when I'm talking about all this shit, a lot of the shit I'm talking about, I learned bit by bit because Screensaver World came out in May, and I was already into NFTs for 3 months. And then I added that. And then I learned about Polygon. And by learning about Polygon, I learned about sidechains. And then I learned about Tezos. And then I learned about Hicketnunk. And then I learned about, you know what I mean? And by spending time in the space, it pulls you in. Another thing I wanted to say too is by being involved in the space, you get paid just for being involved, right. You really you get benefits back in both in community and the friends made, and also in a lot of stuff in value, as long as you're making sure that the community and the artists and the workers behind it are solid as fuck, and all the right, just because a celebrity points and says this project's going to blow, it doesn't mean that. Be involved in the community and listen to what your friends are going to say. And if you have a lot of friends that are involved in that community, get into the Discord, hang out in the Strange Hands Discord. I'll get you guys into another Discord, the Wild Party DAO Discord, which is popping pretty good. And you can kind of start to get the wave and get the idea of it. And a lot of these concepts start slowly figuring nobody knew what the fuck HTTP, could you memorize a URL in 2003? Nobody could. Now it's oh yeah, it's HTTPS //www.chainandblock.io/NateFT/084H2. You know what I mean? Back in the day, credit card, there were fucking 14 numbers. That's a lot. Now my credit card numbers are memorized. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. So we're very early. Just stay involved, dude. And don't worry. And get on Clubhouse and just meet people and stay involved, and you'll learn a lot. One room I like on Clubhouse a lot is the NFTs.tips rooms, because you got questions, there's pretty much always somebody there down to answer them. That usually is a pretty darn well qualified to answer the question too.
And that's called Clubhouse, you said? I've never heard of that. So okay, so I got.
Oh God. All right. So this is literally the wave for NFTs. This is where we were all hanging out and trust me, I'm gonna get me you guys' phone numbers when we get off of here, and I'll send you both invites to Clubhouse. You get on. It's vocal group chat, like, and it's and there's some dope NFT rooms. Like, a lot of NFT promotion happens there. A lot of the best projects do a lot of their promotion on Clubhouse. Twitter Spaces was inspired by Clubhouse. So
right, interesting. Very cool.
Yeah. So, but I'll get you guys on there. It's not what it was in February. I'll be honest. Like, there is a lot. Sometimes I'm listening to a guy. I'm like, I don't consider myself an expert, but I know you're wrong. There's a lot of that on there, but like, there is a lot of good learning in there too. So that's just one resource I like a lot. The NFTs.tips rooms are really, really good. And you can go to NFTs.tips, NFTs.tips, and it's a NFTs.tips, and it's a really good website with a bunch of resources on it about how to get involved in NFTs and how to how they work, and like resources you can like reach. Yeah.
Speaking of these resources, we might as well give more to the audience if we can get a chance. Speaking on resources, do you have, besides yourself, obviously, do you have any resources that you find are very, very good, whether they're influencers or whether they're people that that are not full of cap or BS, that they're actually delivering you very, very good, solid information when it comes to not necessarily pumping projects, but like just NFTs in general in the space?
All right. Let me take a look at who I follow. Because I go through my followers pretty often, and I follow people that are worth following. And like people that I think are very influential in the space. Artists to look out for. Joe Bradley's great. He is putting on a new project called Dum Dums, I believe, and it's based on, part of the art is inspired by the idea of Mayan aliens and ancient aliens, which is sick. I'm just looking through here. Plotsky, Plotskis at Plotskis. She runs a lot of really good NFT rooms. At NateAlex NFT is a friend of mine. He does a lot of good stuff, promotes a lot of good stuff, and usually has the up on a lot of good projects. One I will say, definitely everybody go follow my friend at Purple Terrier. Actually, it's at tipyourdj.eth, I believe he is now. tipyourdj.eth. Yeah, Purple Terrier. He's a close friend of mine, one of my close confidants. I do a lot of work, a lot of collaboration work with this guy, and he is considered a very good staple of the community. So I very much promote him. At ABCDJ, that's my boy ABCDJ. He puts out a lot of good art. Just looking through here. At Baby M Mott's my boy Tommy Gunn. He does a lot of good stuff. At Crypto King D, my friend that goes by Crypto King. He also is a pretty well-known influencer in the space and has just a lot of quality stuff. Projects to watch: Strange Hands, Roscoe and Friends. The artist from Strange Hands is the artist from Roscoe and Friends as well. You're in on the Strange Hands, Derek. You said.
Yeah, I'm waitlisted for that project.
Yeah, that's a great one. At Crypto KFX is another associate of mine. Just looking through, I mean, if you go to my Twitter, if you go to at NateFT and look through, I follow a lot of quality people in the space. I follow a lot of really good influencers. At VWestPhoto_NB runs a lot of good rooms on Clubhouse. Victoria West. My boy Tonio DePaulo is my partner, CEO of Moon Lab. You can check Moon Lab out at moonlab.space. At this point, I'm just shilling a shit ton of stuff.
let me since you're doing that let me ask a selfish question. I'm just curious to hear if you've heard of, we were talking about metaverses earlier. Have you, and you mentioned Decentraland, and of course everybody in this space probably knows Sandbox. Have you heard of one called NFT Worlds, where they actually are built on the Minecraft platform? So you have worlds, they're going to be connected, but people build it. It's like Sandbox, but instead they're using mods in Minecraft and stuff. So people that are already familiar on building in Minecraft and stuff can do all of this stuff, but they will have their own tokens. You will be able to buy NFTs in these Minecraft worlds, just like you can on Sandbox, all of that stuff. And you might not have heard of them. I'm just curious.
And
I have not.
And I think
NFT
some of the
World.
Yeah.
NFT worlds.
Worlds. Yeah. Worlds. And I think, and I'm pretty sure too, Derek, you were telling me about this project in the past. I think some of the leaders behind that had a lot of work in Hypixel and stuff, one of the biggest servers in Minecraft, or around Minecraft.
They've been developing mods and stuff in the Minecraft community for 10 plus years, the two guys that are running it. I think it's pretty dope personally. I know, and again, not that I'm in it for the long haul. I bought a pretty rare land because I own rank 125 out of 10,000 up
I'm
there.
gonna be frank. I'm looking at these land plots, and I wish I had half an ETH to blow.
Well, and actually, in 3 days they've gone from 0.15 to 0.5. So they've just in like the last 3 days have jumped up to half an ETH. But I don't know. I was pointing out because I didn't know if you'd heard about them, and I did what you did. I looked at the website and I thought, man, this is dope, and I blew 0.68 ETH to buy the rank 125 at the time, and the floor has already come up to almost what I spent on the rank 125. So I'm like,
there you go. Yeah,
but like you, I'm planning on holding it for. I mean, I'm not planning on selling. But
I love metaverses are another huge. I mean, there's just so many different spaces that this is blowing up, like, and so many different new things that it's making available. And metaverses and virtual reality is one of them. Like I mentioned, my daughter, my ex, ended up moving to Pennsylvania, and I ended up letting her have primary custody. I get her once a month for a week, which is awesome. I get a whole week off to hang out with my kid, and she doesn't. So, I don't have any hard feelings anymore, even though it was the way it went down was pretty screwed up, but whatever. But I have this idea that like, I want to buy a metaverse space so I can hang out with my kid. I want a space that's like, a place where she can go and like we can play video games, or like we can like watch movies, or we can like do stuff together, because like I'm looking at like being a long distance dad, and like co-parenting is a lot easier than it used to be. Like now, like I FaceTime every day, like I see her every day, like we talk every day, but like at the same time, like what ways can I bridge that gap less? And like one of the ways I'm looking at is the metaverse. And so, this project looks dope. I will say though, are you guys familiar with crypto voxels?
I haven't done a ton of research on them, but
that's where you need to be. That's where I find the most community, the most events. A lot of DJ sets go on in crypto voxels. A lot of bands play in crypto voxels. And if you go to crypto voxels, there's pretty much always somebody hanging out or something going on. There's a lot of community around crypto voxels. Shout out to my
website. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Roblox. Like you go there and there's a bunch of different activities you can jump into from the website. It looks like kind of like how Roblox is set up. Or
the way it works is, you get a space and then you 3D build your space. But like, you can put like Twitch streams in on a screen in the space in the crypto voxel. So like people do like DJ sets on Twitch and then stream them in the space. And then you've got a club full of people's avatars, hanging out, dancing, talking, chatting. One person I would definitely follow for the hook is my friend BitPixie. I believe it's at BitPixie or bitpixie.eth. If you look up bitpixie.eth, BitPixie. Yeah, at BitPixie, at BITPIXI. And BitPixie is one of the best influencers on crypto voxels, runs BitPixie's bar, and they have a ton of great events and great artists. And she's going to be involved in the Wild Party DAO that we're developing. We're basically developing a governance token for a nightlife community alongside an in-house music label. And we have a bunch of artists that are going to be involved with that. And it's a dope idea, and it's and we're like, I love this idea, we're all already having parties, let's do this. And the tokens we've already got governance tokens up available, V0 ones. I think we're putting up some new ones on known origin, but yeah, it's just we get crazy shit like that going on, and crypto voxels is kind of the place where a lot of that stuff's happening. And so I highly recommend it. I'm going to be honest, I haven't played around. I'm very familiar with Decentraland and Sandbox, but I have not been in and played around a bunch. I think I've been in Decentraland once, but I haven't vibed too much, just because crypto voxels is where my whole community is hung out this entire time.
I'm not a fan of Decentraland. I was actually talking to Cody about that today. I even, because he's like, well, what is it? I logged in and I was streaming earlier this morning, and I logged in and showed him. And I'm like, dude, like you can never find, like, it's just dead, honestly, a lot of times, unless there's a specific event going on. that people join in for. Sandbox, they just you do know they just came out with their alpha 1129.
Yep.
So I did download that. I have played that a bit. I am positive on Sandbox. I don't own a lot of Sandbox stuff. I own a little bit of Sand tokens that I had bought just as kind of a, but you know, I mean, I'm interested in it, but it's not something I'm heavily invested in. I don't know why. I just thought this NFT Worlds, it's kind of the one that stuck out to me when I was doing research on them, because I thought it was really cool that it was built right into Minecraft, and it was basically the same thing as Sandbox, or will be the same thing as Sandbox, but they don't have to develop it for 5-6 years. They use the open source community that's already around Minecraft and all the mods that already exist to do the exact same thing, basically, and with a platform that everybody's familiar with. Anyways, so that, again, that was a selfish one. I just wanted to ask. But so moving into, like I said, I want to ask a couple, if it's okay, a couple ending kind of questions here or whatever.
Yeah.
One of them being gaming. We talked about gaming. Are you a gamer? I think in one of your podcasts you mentioned
gamer.
you used to play RuneScape a lot.
Oh, I'm
still,
what the fuck? I literally, before this, I was like, I guess I'll close the RuneScape window for the chat. But no, it's RuneScape season for me right now. I swear to God, it's like every fall. I don't know why. It's every fall. I buy like 3 months and I play, and then like at the end of the 3 months, I either buy another 3 months and I play, or I don't. I stop playing, and like I took a nice year break in between this one, so I kind of think I'm not going to stop playing again. So like, I think I'll probably do 6 months, but like, I swear it's like I play for months and then I stop, and then I play and I stop, and I just love RuneScape because it's like, it's so nostalgic. I'm a big retro gamer. I'm really big on retro gaming. Well,
tell me some of your favorites, but before you do, I got to ask this question about RuneScape. Have you ever maxed out any of the skills? Did you ever put in the work to do it?
Not yet.
No.
But before I die. I mean, and I figure I'm gonna play the rest of my life, so I'm cool with, like, I'm not focusing on anything specific. Like I'm combat level 84 right now. I think I have like level 76 fishing's my best non-combat skill. My strength's level 84, I think, is my best combat skill. But
that was always the big flex back in the day. Like, oh my God, you leveled up your skill to max in this.
Yeah.
So long.
You gotta have a 99, dog. I'll be there. I'm getting there. I just haven't. I mean, at some point I will. I just haven't. Like I said today, I was in Faldor doing agility runs, like picking up because I'm trying to get. Because I just got blue dragons as a slayer task. So now I have to go find somewhere with blue dragons, and I'd either have to do a bunch of quests, or I'm like get 10 more levels in agility so that I can use an agility shortcut to get to some blue dragons. And I'm like, just do the agility. You're gonna level it anyways. So I've been, clicking I did like 70 laps today while I coded. And like, honestly, like some people are like, what, you just hang out in your room and play video games and code? Your life must suck. And I'm like, no, dude, like I have friends all over the world that I network with every day. Like I don't just hang out in my room all day. I go out and skateboard, and I get out and about every day. I usually go for at least a walk every day. Like I have friends in real life that I like go see and hang out with. Like, it's not like I'm in this room all day, but like, this is my passion. This is what I love. And like the people that I connect with and network with love doing this. So like I just have no shame with I've had bronchitis, so I've been like stuck in my room the last 4 days. Before that, I had hand, foot, and mouth. And I was stuck in my room for like a whole week. But like, honestly, like if I didn't have to go to my job at the grill, like I would have probably done the same thing. So like I have no shame in that. Like, dude, I love old school video games. Like I'm big on Zelda. I'm a huge Zelda nerd. Okay. My first video game tattoo I'm getting in January. I'm gonna get a Boo right here, a pixelated Boo from Mario, because my mom calls me Boo and I call my daughter Boo. So cute, I thought that was cute. But
everyone give him an
aww. Too cute. But yeah, like big on gaming, big on RPGs and fantasy RPGs. Diablo 2, of course I bought Resurrected. I'm a sucker for that shit. The people that did Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 are redoing Diablo 2, so like no problem. Like I don't even give a fuck if they do Diablo 4 in another 5 years. I got Diablo 2 in 3D now. Other games I've been playing. Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I was gonna say, speaking of games though, I think this might have been where Derek was heading down. How are you doing, or what are your thoughts with the whole NFT space coming into the gaming thing, or blockchain games, and what Okay, I was gonna say I didn't know if you were partaking in anything like that, or what are
I'm
your
not
thoughts
partaking. I haven't jumped in yet, but I'm familiar with a lot, like Zed's run on Polygon, and people are like racing horses. And I know a lot of video games are implementing them, like RuneScape. I'm thinking, dude, if you can make immutable items in RuneScape, like, yes, like brilliant. You know what I mean? Like, or make like, scarcity and digital items in RuneScape or something. Fucking brilliant. Like, let's go. So like, I'm very long on the idea. I haven't really gotten involved or bought anything. Like, I don't hold any Wolf Game or Zed's Run or any of that stuff, but I definitely like the idea of it. I have a Strawberry, what the fuck, strawberry.wtf. I don't know if you're familiar with Strawberry. He's an influencer in the space and he does a lot of good stuff. He's actually with the developer behind Oniforce. But I believe, or he's on that team. But like when he put that out, he was like, we're doing a Game Boy game alongside, and instantly I was like, sold. I'm like, okay, Game Boy game, and I haven't even played the Game Boy game yet, but like it's on browser, it's available. But like things like that, I love the idea of the utility of this in NFTs. I'm big on the idea, and yes, I just haven't really taken the time and dug my heart into it. I collect art for the most part.
Fair. And I will say, Cody can probably speak on this too, but we are gamers at heart, probably more than art collectors. I mean, I do collect some art. I always have. Even in real life, I've been an art collector on a small scale, and that's kind of how I am in the NFT space. So I think both of us, our true passions are going to be as we see NFTs move into this metaverse / gaming space. That's kind of our true excitement about the space. But I will say it is pretty early, and a lot of the games out there are not great. They are pretty basic, and they are.
No,
but
a lot of them
exciting watching it evolve. But I don't know. What's
we're
thoughts,
just
Cody?
Yeah, no, a lot of them, man. That's what I was gonna get to. Like the downside for me is I think a lot of it just comes back to like my old school mini clip days, like browser, like super fast, quick, down and dirty, like, mini clip games that that you were using sometimes like a short proxy website, short proxy website at school, in the computer lab to try to play some game where you just have one guy killing zombies, right?
3 dog.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Addictinggames.com. Let's go.
Exactly. But like, for me, like that's kind of what a lot of these games on the blockchain are starting out. And now here's what my take is. My take is one, are they doing that to rush something to give to the community because they now have this community that they just sold a bunch of NFTs for, right? That they promised utility. So they're trying to deliver something to kind of fill the itch to where hopefully over time they're going to progress it. Or is it something like, they really have no fucking clue how to develop a game? Do you know what I mean? So they just pick something that they know is super easy, or that they can hopefully develop, and then they just call it a day, and then we'll see more utility elsewhere from a project like that. I don't know.
Yeah, there's some of that, I think. I don't know if you're familiar with, and the original website I don't think is available anymore, but I don't know if you're familiar with rug.wtf. The Rug Project.
Yeah, I am, and it's great. It's great.
Oh, it's amazing.
Still,
yeah,
the website still exists. It's still great.
I'm gonna be honest. Tom Larkin put that. His name's Rug. The guy's name Tom is his name's Tom Larkin. Not to dox him or anything, but he's pretty well doxed anyways.
Yeah,
but
he's
like,
well known in that space.
Yeah, and he came out. He used to hang out with us like every day on Clubhouse, and I was hanging with him like all the time. And then he put that project out and he disappeared, and I can't get him to answer a single message. And like none of us can.
I mean, he did. I mean, the whole project, he did say he was going to rug the entire project.
He did.
That
and it
was
the
whole point of it.
It's brilliant. Yeah.
Hold on. Wait. So rug is in like take all the money and dip.
Oh, let me explain.
Yeah, go ahead.
So first he marketed it as we're going to be selling 10,000 randomly generated 3D generated rugs. And you will buy a rug. Yeah, if you look at the
like your floor NFT, rug, like a rug
on the rug. So everybody bought, like, this was early in the space when people weren't doing the we put it out, it shows that you coming soon your art, and then your art gets the metadata gets uploaded after you buy it.
Right.
He did this before everybody else did, and he didn't put it out. People were buying them, then people were complaining it doesn't even have my fucking art in it. Like, what's going on, right? Then he dropped all the rugs, and they were a 3D, like a nicely developed 3D room with a 3D generated rug. And then like a week later, he changed the metadata. So all the rugs disappeared and it was just the room. So he rugged everybody. So when you refresh your metadata, your rug was gone. It was just the room. Yeah.
What the fuck? Okay.
Then he unrugged everybody. Then he made it so that you could buy it dependent on your number. I think it's dependent on your number in the 10,000 rugs. You could buy a rug punk. So you could buy a physical rug of a CryptoPunk.
I don't think did he resell those, or did he when he brought the rug back, he turned them into those? I thought they became that. I didn't think they were a second sellable item. I thought he rugged everybody by taking the rug out of the room.
Well, he rugged everybody, then he put the rugs back, I think.
Well, I thought when he put the rugs back, he put the rugs became the crypto rugs, the CryptoPunks rugs. Maybe I'm getting this wrong, but
maybe he did. Yeah, I think he might have. Yeah, might have been Rug Punks, or maybe that was a different project he did. Was Rug Punks? I think Rug Punks might have been a different project entirely.
No, I'm pretty sure.
Regardless, he's been rolling off the rug mantra forever, and his website. When they first put out the original rug.wtf website, it was rug.wtf.
Yeah, I just sent it to you, by the way, Cody, so you can look at this real quick.
Yeah, okay. The original website, the first thing it said in big words was, "You stupid motherfucker. You have no idea what you're buying, but you'll buy it anyways because you'll buy anything that's being promoted on Twitter." It scrolled down is like, "Will there be a video?" Like FAQs. One of the FAQs was, "Will there be a video game based on it?" Well, there won't be a video game based on any of the other dumb JPEGs you've bought in the last 6 months, so we might as well say yes. We're doing a video game on the game. It was the best copy on any website. Like everybody's like, "I'm buying just because of the copy. This is amazing." And nobody knew it was Tom until he finally was like, "Yeah, it's me." And then we're like, "Oh my God, yo." And then like he hadn't even released the art or anything. I remember I was in this clubhouse with Tom in this room, and it was like right after they'd sold out, and he just announced it was him, that it was like, we were like, "Dude, congratulations." Like, fuck yeah. He's like, "Yeah, it's whatever. It's all right." You're like, "So you're going to drop the art?" "Yeah, eventually." Anyways, I gotta go, guys. I got a helicopter ride I gotta get to. And then like his Instagram story just got full of him like going on a helicopter ride, just bought a new car, fucking I'm smoking a cigar, or like just went to the dispensary spending your ETH, like all this, like, and he just like it was rough. And like I have to say, like, the dude's built this persona and he's successful on it and has a lot of fans with it. But like the people he knew before on Clubhouse, I'm not calling him out or anything, but I just gotta say it, bro. If you're listening, fuck you, bro. You haven't fucking messaged any of us back. You're supposed to come on my podcast. You haven't. I don't have hard feelings. Like, I get it. I know he's busy as fuck, and I'm probably stuck in the DMs. But when you see my fucking DM, you can reply and be a maybe. You know, we were supposed to go on one time, and he was like, "Wait, let me roll a blunt real quick. Let me smoke this blunt real quick." And then he was like, "Let's do this tomorrow." Like, you know, I'm like, which is cool. Like, he's a great artist. I don't have any hard feelings with it, and I know it's just his persona, but he takes that persona fucking far. And I know there are some people that are like, "Yeah, fuck Tom." Like,
so okay, so then just to reiterate here, so he did actually like physically rug the project, like it's gone.
It still exists, but it's not being developed at all anymore.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Done. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Because the term is being played off of a project being rugged. Like they stole everybody's money that was invested and then didn't do anything else with the project and dipped. Right.
Yep. Only he told everybody that was what he's going to do, and he still sold out and made a shit ton of money doing it.
Right. No, I get that. But that's because he was playing on this whole idea, and people, for whatever reason, like, he called them out. They're fucking dumb and they will follow it and do it. And that's exactly what they did. Interesting.
Meme, dude. Memes too strong, man. Memes always too
That's
strong.
Pretty crazy, dude. That's wild.
Yeah. I mean, actually, you can buy one of those for like $9 on OpenSea now, like one of the crypto rugs. The floor is actually pretty low. I've actually thought about picking one up just to have it, but I don't feel like it's the same because I wasn't part of it when it was happening. So I don't actually like, I think it's cool as fuck and it was dope, but like, I don't have, like, it's not like I was rugged. You know what I mean? Like, I wish I would have got on the project when it happened. And owned one, even if it was worth nothing.
But think about it this way: you don't need one of those rugs because you're not part of the project that's been rugged, or this project's been rugged. But you can think about all the dead projects that you're gonna have that they're building their own metaverses that are never going. No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You're never gonna see it.
To an extent too, though, like when I see it, like, what was the experience I got by buying that art? Like, I got a genuine experience. Like, okay, I didn't buy a rug.wtf, but if I had, I would have had a genuine experience of like, the fuck is going on with my NFT, bro? Like, what is he gonna do next? You know? And
Yeah.
that, like, we all in the community had that feeling, and like we all kind of like had that feeling and enjoyed it, you know? And that's what I think a lot of the art behind this stuff is, like why it's important, is that, like, you know, as long as you're getting an enjoyable experience out of the experience of the artwork, I think it's worth it. And like, that's why I don't feel like I lose on any of my projects that I buy into, because I buy them because I like them, you know?
Well,
I buy them particularly because I enjoy them. Yep.
Yeah. And on that point, like, even though it was a rug and it was like a funny project, it was actually very high quality. Like the crypto rugs that everybody got were exact duplicates of the actual crypto punks. So they were the crypto punks turned into a crypto rug. And like, so I mean, like they actually had to put a ton of time into developing those and stuff and doing all that. And so, I mean, it was actually a really dope project too. I really feel like what would have solidified it is like great nowadays would be if at the end, when he turned everybody's crypto rug or everybody's rug into a crypto rug, when he put it back, if he would have also then airdropped everybody their original rug and the one without, and the room without the rug. That way you had the whole sequence at the end. Like originally I had this, then my rug disappeared and I had this, and I'm like, what the fuck's going on? Then he came back and uploaded this, and this is what I ended up with at the end. I think that would have been dope. But again, I mean, it's still dope the way he did it. But just looking back on it now, I think that would have been cool if you would have ended up with all three pieces of it. Anyways, I know we're going pretty long in the time. I don't know what Cody and stuff. I don't know everybody's time, so I want to be respectful of that. But so again, jumping back, couple quick questions. I also saw, so we touched on gaming. I also saw you tweeted about Attack on Titans being nutty as fuck.
Yeah.
So I gotta ask, like, are you an anime fan? Are you? If so, what are some of your favorite animes? You just checked out.
Here's the thing. As I have grown older, I have gained a higher appreciation for anime. When I was a kid, like my brother was mad into it. I had tons of friends who were mad into it, and I've seen a good amount of anime and like never like disenjoyed it or was like, God, I don't fucking not watch it. But I was never like heavy into it. Mm-hmm. And now that I'm older and it's become so memeable, it's such an important part of not just like Japanese culture, but culture like internationally. Like I have a stronger respect for the artwork. So, and a stronger respect for like the medium form, the media itself. So like, you know, it's kind of like, you know, when I was a kid, I didn't like the blues as much as I do now. Like now I love the blues. So like anime, like to me is kind of like, you know, nowadays I'm kind of getting back into it. A few years back, a friend of mine was like, you got to fucking watch this show called Attack on Titan. And I watched the first 2 episodes. I'm like, this is dope. And then I just never watched it again. So now lately I've been working through, I'm like almost at the end of season 1, I think. And that's a really dope show. But I plan on working through a lot of them. Like my next will probably be Full Metal Alchemist, because I always did like Full Metal Alchemist. Bleach, eventually I'm going to check out more. You know, a lot of those bloody ass ones, I think, you know.
Yeah, fighting and makes sense.
Yeah, but yeah, I've been watching Attack on Titan lately, and I think it's like now, back in the day, it was like it just felt weird, and I never got into it because it felt weird. And now I'm an adult, and like I don't give a fuck. I'm bisexual. You can suck it. I don't give a fuck. Like, you know, like I do whatever the hell I want. So like I basically, like at this point, I'm like, well, you know, I enjoy. When you become an adult, you enjoy media for different reasons and have a different appreciation.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it's like you said, it's you get this like you can appreciate things that you might not necessarily, like you said, love, but you can appreciate what it is. It's art form. It's whatever. Yeah. It's vibe, whatever you want to call it.
I get a certain nostalgia from anime. You know, it reminds me of my childhood. Like that's a lot of the reason I play like N64 games and RuneScape, and like I like one of my tattoos. Eventually, I'm gonna get Din, the Oracle of Seasons from Legend of Zelda Oracle of Seasons for Game Boy Color, like big on this arm. I think, like, you know, I'm gonna have my artist do I have an artist that I like a lot that I'm gonna have like just OG it out. But yeah, like, you know, a lot of the stuff I appreciate, a lot of the art I appreciate is that nostalgia. Like if you look at a lot of the art I make, I do like a lot of like programming, like I program a lot of my art, like I write Python scripts, and it comes out to this like almost like old school 70s looking digital art, you know, like, or it looks like just old like MS Paint generated digital art.
Is there a place people can see your art?
If you go to the best way to see all my stuff, if you go to chainandblock.io, chainandblock.io, chainandblock.io. This is the website for my new company, and I at the bottom, there's a bunch of links for my email, my Twitter, the NateFT podcast, my OpenSea, my screensaver.world, and also a sign up for Lematic, which is the marketplace that I'm building with some associates. If you are any artists or any artists want to sign up and see, we're doing it's basically going to be a curated marketplace, but and I think that's all I'm allowed to say. but yeah, if you go to chainandblock.io, it's got links to all my stuff. And I also, I also just bought chainandblock.eth, so that's there too. But yeah, like if you click on screensaver there and go look at my created art, like a lot of it is just this weird digital looking art. And like it gives me this nostalgia of like early web 2, like when I was a kid and I used to like write in HTML and I thought I was a fucking genius because I could like, make a web page. I didn't know how to host it, but like I have a website on my computer. Like, I felt like a G. And like, those kind of things are like that kind of digital art gives me like a nostalgic feeling that I appreciate. And like some people look at my art and they're like, it's very simplistic and like, but like organizing this shit out and making it fit, like even just getting a screenshot to be centered properly takes time and effort programmably. And like I've met a lot of collectors that have a lot of respect for what I do. And I just appreciate that. And like a lot of people get that same vibe, and that's why I continue to make the art I make. And I've probably sold like a couple hundred Matic worth of art, like, and I've probably put out like 100 pieces, like, but I don't care. I make the art because I like the art. Like I have tons of pieces that are up for sale, and like if you like it, dope, bid on it. I pretty much take every bid. Like I let it sit for a day, and then I'm like, nobody else bid, dope, done. Like I don't care. I'll take a bid for 0.1 Matic. Like if you want to collect my art, I'd love to have my art in your collection, and whatever you think, if you think it's worth that, I appreciate it. I just had fun making it,
Yeah, I think I'm looking at block 0002. It's the red and blue. I like that one a lot.
That's cool. That's a cool one.
One of my faves of them that I'm seeing so far.
Yep. Yeah, some things I minted on here, I minted just for memory, like that whiteboard a couple over, that whiteboard, New Beginnings, that whiteboard was like that in my house for like 3 years. So I felt like I had to make something immutable before I erased it. So I took a picture of it and minted it, some things
cool,
like that.
That's cool.
Yeah, like a couple things. And like, that's something that'll stay in my wallet forever. That's just a token I want to keep my immutability of a digital asset. That's a memory for me.
Yeah, I'm a photographer. And like I on OpenSea, I minted I just put some of my own favorite shots into my wallet just for I don't have them listed for sale or anything. I didn't even pay to have them officially minted yet. But it was just, like you said, it was something I wanted to have, just immutable, that if data ever got erased on my computer or on my NAS system or backup, somehow some crazy thing happened that I lost my, have something that's, like you said, immutable and all that. So yeah. Very, very dope. Let me see. What was the next thing I was going to ask you? So are you a big fan of Gary Vee? It seems like, from my understanding, here's what I ask you. I think you single-handedly will be the guy that makes him create a non-alcoholic wine.
I hope so. Yes, because I mean, I smoke copious amounts. I'll say this: I smoke copious amounts of marijuana because I don't believe that it makes my life unmanageable or that I'm helpless to it. And I take tea breaks to prove that to myself all the time. But I am an alcoholic, and I use 12 steps to stay sober through that. I've been sober 18 months now. I've been striving for it for 7 years, but I have 18 strong months now, and now I'm pretty confident. I'm pretty confident in my sobriety now too. Like I work at a bar, and I'm not tempted or anything, but I think that's because I've worked on myself a lot. And but yeah, like when I was in New York, I went and picked my buddy Tonio up at his wine party that he was having, like his secret wine party. It was on Bowery. I pull up and I park, and I'm like parking in like no parking area. I'm like, what the fuck? I get out of the car. I'm like, I'm waiting 5 minutes. What the hell? I get out of the car. First person I see, I see a girl with pink hair, and I'm like, are you awkward? And she's like, yeah, I'm awkward. I'm like, oh my God, I know you from Clubhouse. And then this other kid was like, and she's like, yeah, NateFT, he's from New Hampshire, he's on Clubhouse. And he's like, Crypto King? And I'm like, yo! So like, freaked out there. And then I start seeing like a couple kids running over towards the tour bus that was standing there. And I'm like, oh, I know what's happening. So I walk over that way. And of course I put myself right in the right spot to shake Gary Vee's hand as he walked out. I wasn't going to be one of those kids around like in the viral video, like, hey, I want to ask you some stuff about motivation. Like, bro, I'll just read your book. I'm good. But like, like give somebody else the time. But no, that was cool. And like I like that, like a lot of the stuff he says, like he's motivational, you know, like he has a strong headed business attitude. And you know, I'm not a big student of a lot of his stuff, but whenever I see his videos, it's usually shit that I like, you know. And
yeah, I'm a fan of Gary Vee.
Yeah, I'm big on a lot of that motivational stuff, like Og Mandino. I've got some books of. I got the Eighth Habit by Stephen R. Covey, which is the sequel to the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie is one of the best books ever. Yeah. It really needs to be read by everybody. It's just important for social interaction. The Prince by Machiavelli for management. I'm not kidding, but it's sort of kidding, but not really, but kind of. But yeah, like so like yeah, I like Gary Vee, and I love non-alcoholic beverages. Like I've been drinking Heineken Zero lately. Like in early sobriety, I wasn't about it, but now I'm like, dude, I just fucking always love beer. Like I always love alcohol. Fuck off. Like, so I know they make non-alcoholic wines, and it's a lot of like the social aspect. Like at the end of my shift, I get off, and like I usually don't, but sometimes everybody's having a beer. I'm like, hey, fuck it, give me a Heineken Zero, and I'll like hang out and like drink a beer while I talk with my coworkers, and then I go home. You know, so I really want him to put out like a non-alcoholic empathy, like a non-alcoholic wine. And I think there's a huge market for that too. Like if I'm ever rich, I'm going to start a non-alcoholic brewery, and we're going to just do dope non-alcoholic beers. Cause I really do think there's a market for that.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a like I said, I'm a fan of Gary, and I do sub to his empathy wine box that comes or whatever. And I think it's great wine. But when I saw you comment, I think you've commented a couple, I've seen you commented a couple
I'm
times
commenting on every time I see Gary Vee in my feed, I comment, please make a non-alcoholic wine.
Okay,
I'm going to do it until he does it.
I saw it all the time. But I actually, I'm like, that's actually a really good idea. I mean, I do drink alcohol because I don't have that issue with over drinking it. I'm actually very, you know, whenever I don't drink it very often. Yeah, but I do get addiction with other stuff. But anyway, so my point being, like, but I still think it's a sweet thing. And I'm like, Gary Vee, if you ever somehow stumble upon this podcast and hook the man up with some that's a dope idea to have some like he is the wine guy, him and his dad, basically, of the internet, at least. How do they not have a alcoholic free one by now?
Hook me up, dude. Like, and I like the only way I've ever been able to maintain sobriety is by the 12 steps and the principles of Alcoholics Anonymous. But, and I really don't want to downcut anything they say, but there's just so much purist philosophy in it that they're like, you can't even sniff a whiskey. Like you can't even and like in early sobriety, like I was like, yeah, definitely. But now I'm like, I really believe in my sobriety. Like I have a higher power I talk to every day that helps me. Like I can't get sober. There is a God. Because if there was no God, fucking, that's the only way I could stay sober, is if there's a God that will fucking help me to take my will from me. And you know, that's how the philosophy works. It's like, you ask me, what's your will? I'm always going to drink. Always. I've tried 1,000 times. It always comes out the same way. It either takes a week or it takes a month or a year if I end up drinking again. So like, I give my will to somebody else. And like that philosophy, like I get, and like I'm down for it, but at the same time, I just can't give myself to like, you can't even fucking walk into a bar ever again to have a meal. Like you can't like don't get me wrong, I don't like going to restaurants sometimes when like there's shit tons of shit-faced people there. Like I just prefer not to be there because I don't drink. But like you know, there's people that are like, you can't, like, oh, you can't, your friend, you go to your friend's house and they're drinking, you better go away. Like, fuck you, it's my fucking buddy's birthday. Like I'm not gonna stay all night. Like, you know, I'm gonna leave when everybody gets hammered. But like, you know, and like I'm just not a purist in that way, you know. But so I do love non-alcoholic spirits. Even though like some people, it would be, he's an AA and he drinks that stuff. Like, no, well, it's the 12 steps are suggestions. But fair enough. But yeah, so that's where I stand. And every time I see some Gary Vee shit, please make an alcohol. In fact, I'm going to pull up his Twitter right now and I'm
going to start commenting it for you. I'm going to
tag you. Thank you.
Nate wants you to make an alcoholic free.
Yeah, let's go. Gary Vee, bro, you got to make me a non-alcoholic wine.
And then yeah, exactly. Again, I'm full support of it, man. I don't know. That might even be how I originally started following you. because I follow Gary Vee and I'm always reading this stuff, because even the comments of Gary Vee are great, honestly. I mean, he has a dope community that follows him.
Well,
Again,
that's
like
the
you
thing.
said, some things are, I'm not saying I agree with everything he says, but overall, like, just I think his intentions are pure, and the community that follows him, their intentions are pure, because they're trying to be like Gary. So I just think it's a dope community overall.
He stays very involved with his community. He's a very accessible influencer, and I think that's part of his success, is that people like genuinely think he gives a fuck. And he probably does, like, what's the guy got to lose? Like, why do what he does? And like, all he does is try to rise people up. Like, he doesn't get into politics. He's not in any of that crap. He just he tries to raise people, motivated young entrepreneurs like myself. So like, I support the guy. I like what he does. I'm a big fan.
See, for me, the two things that I really like about Gary Vee, and I'm not, to be honest with you, I don't know a whole lot of his stuff. I mean, the stuff that I have stumbled across, I obviously like what I've heard, but I've never, actively went and sought out his stuff. But the two things that I really like about him that I've seen is, one, his insane amount of energy, like super crazy high. Like, I don't think I've ever seen that guy not peaked out on like what you would see a maximum person on cocaine, right? Like, that's like, but without the drugs, right? I mean, like, he's just like naturally peaked out, and I really like that. And then the second thing that I like is he doesn't give a fuck, dude. And like, that's the thing that I love the most, is that it's raw. It's almost like listening to comedy, way back in the day, when the stand-up comedians didn't give a shit, about all these cancel culture and all these other, these things telling them anything. They stood up there and they just said whatever the fuck they wanted to say, and it was raw. That's how I see Gary all the time. Like, I've watched so many of just like random like LinkedIn clips, that come across LinkedIn, that people that, that are on my page that share something of his or a clip of his. It's like 30 seconds to like a minute long. And like, all of a sudden you just watch it and it's like a quick snippet of an interview, right? Like, he's on a phone and he's talking to a random person, right? And it could be a young person. And all of a sudden, like, he's shelling out cuss words. He's basically saying, like, the moment they say, well, I can't do this because of this, and he's like, no, that's other bullshit. It's a fucking excuse. Like, you can easily do that. You put this, and and when I hear it, I'm like, holy fuck, like, this guy is like, there is no filter. There's no there is no cap. He's straight, like, sees straight through the BS, and he's like, nah, man, listen, if you really want it, you just got to work, man. That's what it is, dude. You got to put in the hard work, the hard work now. It'll pay off later. Let's go. And I'm just like, okay.
Yep.
I don't know. That's what attracts me to him, is those two things, is that just insane energy. I'm high strung. I've got ADHD. I fucking hate reading. Going back to you reading books, I can never read a book to save my life. I read 5 lines. I forget what the fuck I just read, and I have to go back and read the same 5 lines. I get bored. I want to go do something else, right? So for me, I dig it. I dig the energy. I'm like, let's fucking go, dude. He can keep up with me. Let's fucking go. Let's rock all day. 20 minutes of sleep. I'm about to do that fucking, what is it? Uber's sleep schedule, or Uberman sleep schedule shit.
The Superman sleep schedule, 20 minutes every 5 hours.
Yep, exactly, dude. Let's go. Dude. And once I go full-time content creation, oh yeah, hell yeah. I'll be on full on Uberman. Full on Uberman, dude. I'll fucking straight up be 20 minutes every single so many hours. I'll fucking 20-minute power nap. Boom, right back at it for another 5 hours. Let's go.
I wish, bro. I wish. Oh man. Yeah. My sleep schedule is getting all screwed up being a dev.
Yeah, I'm just too old at this point. 30. I mean, I'm not super old, but at 37, I do not have that same energy anymore. I did, but I do not anymore. All right. Last thing. Before I do, I was just the last thing was gonna be just asking you, number one, but don't answer it right away. I was gonna ask you who your favorite podcast guest was. Like, because it's easy for somebody to say, oh, check out my links, but I want you to give our viewers your favorite episode for them to go listen to. But before you do that, while you're thinking about it, and then of course you also give out all your social links and everything where people can find you. But before you do that, I just want to make sure, Cody, did you have any other questions, any other thoughts before we close? Anything?
Naturally, going out of this, as always, Nate, we like to stay in touch, my friend. And then, obviously, so I want to add you up on all the socials and everything, and just kind of connect and stuff. And then with that being said, this is completely podcast related or related on the back end, but I need a picture, my man. So whatever you got, if you want that to be an NFT, if you want a picture of you, whatever it is for thumbnails
I'll
for
send you something
podcasts and
good.
stuff. So
yeah, I'll find something good.
Anyways, D, you got the floor, man, or
favorite episode.
Go ahead and the episode that you would recommend people
favorite
go listen
interview
to.
Well, it's definitely a monologue. No, I'm just kidding.
I didn't listen to a lot of your monologues.
Now, here's the thing, that's really tough for me because like a lot of the reason I don't do this podcast so it'll blow up. I do this podcast so that like I can have a space for the artists themselves. Like I'd be on Clubhouse and like we do these rooms and then the artist would be asked a question and then they change the subject of the question and then like somebody asked an NFT question and like it just wasn't like an organized space. So I wanted like every episode I take an artist and like a project head or something and I try to just get like, what are you about? What's the project about? And like it's a space for them, and each one of these I'm looking at it and I'm like, shit, that's a good friend of mine, that's a good friend of mine, that person I talk to all the time, that person, like I want to shill every one of these artists. Like I want to shill Black Dave, I want to shill Kira X23, I want to shill Gaper Art, I want to shill Wonder Science, I want to already shill Purple Terrier. Charmaine Hussein is one of my favorite artists.
Okay, so then let's do this. Let's do this. Let's switch gears. Instead of picking your favorite one, why not pick one that you think the audience would be a really good episode for them to come in onto your podcast?
Yeah.
All
that
right.
Makes sense.
I mean,
like listen to all of his podcasts, but where should they start?
At this point, I would say you probably want to start with episode 16 with Food Mask Q. That was that's my latest, and that was a really good talk. He's a fantastic artist. He's lived a hell of a life and has a lot of wisdom to share. That one's really good. If you want to like really know, like look at that. That's probably my best episode. Then if you want to know how we started, listen to episode 1 with Mike Mongo, because Mike Mongo is like one of my best friends and mentors now. I talk with the man all the time. He's genuinely like family to me at this point. And like basically like I'll tell you this story. My first episode, like I'm like, oh, I'm going to start a podcast because everybody says I should start a podcast. And like, everybody in Clubhouse is like, damn, you talk. You got a podcast? And I'm like, fuck, okay, I'll start one. So, and everybody's like, and Mike Mongo gave me a yes. So everybody, and I'm like, I don't know, like I'm supposed to interview this person. I'm supposed to interview this person. I'm supposed to interview Mike Mongo. And everybody's like, do Mike Mongo, you idiot. I'm like, okay, cool. So I hit Mike Mongo up. I'm like, yeah, I call him because he gave me his number. I'm like, yo, it's Nate Workman, the char dad from Clubhouse. Can you hop on the podcast today? He's like, he was a little apprehensive at first. He was like, sure. And I'm like, okay. And then he hops on with me on Zoom and he's like, have you ever done this before? And I'm like, no. And he's like, all right, I'll guide you through a little bit. I'll make sure you get it right. And I'm like, oh, thanks, dude. So we start the first episode. We're starting the first episode. And I'm like, I'm talking to Mike. Or I start and I'm like, so anyways, my thanks for joining us on NateFT. My guest today is, and he's like, whoa, stop. You get to introduce, first you got to introduce the podcast, then you got to introduce yourself, then you can introduce me. All right. Ready? I'm like, all right. He's like, no, you got to do this right. I'm like, all right. He's like, ready? 3, 2, 1, go. If you listen to the first episode, it starts with Mike going, okay, in 3, 2, 1, go. And that was the beginning of the first episode. So like, if you listen, I'm just like, oh, this guy's fucking like super successful in what he does. And like, I know him from like, I honestly am not 100% sure where I knew Mike Mongo. I knew of his work from somewhere and I knew he was involved with Obey, but I think he was on Exit Through the Gift Shop. He was explaining part of the history of Obey, but I know I saw him in some movie that was about Obey where they were explaining Obey and like he was explaining Obey stuff. So, and I thought it was Exit Through the Gift Shop, but it might not have been. But like you can see, I'm like all giddy and I'm like, just tell me more. Like, tell me more about your life. And like, and that was kind of like the start of the podcast. And like, since I've kind of like developed into, I have like a system of like how I work and what I do. And like I used to edit a lot, like not shuffle words, but pull out the ums and the ands and stuff. And now I don't edit anything. And for the most part, I just give it a listen through and make sure there's nothing really bad in there for some reason. Yeah, basically, I just, like I would say start with the Food Mask Q episode. Any of the episodes with Mike Mongo's are favorites to me. The Mutniks episode, if you listen, all right, if you since I shilled Mutniks, if you listen to episode 11, Mutniks NFTs with Kyle Schember and Mike Mongo, that's a really good episode. That's a really, really good episode. But yeah, I mean, that's what I'd say. And okay. But honestly, like I love, like in each of these episodes, I made a really good friend with every one of these artists. And some of them we got really deep and like made a really good connection. Some of them, like, you know, I realized things about myself and they realized things about themselves. And like, you know, I couldn't just pick one of these and tell you like, that's the one. Like they're all great. And any of these artists too, like all their socials are in here. I highly recommend checking them all out because there's nobody that I've interviewed that I don't think is on the right path and isn't going to be in this space for a long time and be very influential as well.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Very cool. And I will just echo. I did listen to how do you say his name again?
Food
Fumescu. I did listen to that one, and I do think it would be a great one for the audience to check out, like to kind of get them into your content. So I would echo that. It was I enjoyed it thoroughly. And then last but not least, also, you know, but still give all of your links. What is the best way for people to find you? Where are you most active?
I have basically turned my URL, my domain for my company into a link tree. So if you go to chainandblock.io, Chain and Block is the LLC I've started to do all my consulting work and all my dev work. So you can go to chainandblock.io, like blockchain, chain and block. I was going to do Workman. My last name is Workman. I was going to do Workman, Chain and Block, but nobody in the country had taken Chain and Block yet for trademark. And I'm like, are you serious? Drop that. Great. I was like, perfect. But yeah, if you go to chainandblock.io, you can email me. And if you're looking for a developer, I'm open to doing development work with artists, collaborating with artists, and at least consulting and getting you on the right path to understanding what the hell is going on in this really complex space. I'm always open to just hopping on for an hour and talking to somebody and onboarding somebody into the idea of NFTs. Like there's a lot of people that want to get in, but they're intimidated because it's a lot to learn. And I don't believe it's a lot to learn. I just think that the resources are a lot to kind of get all in one place. Hit me up, drop me an email. I would love to just, you know, give me a call and we can talk and I will try to help you figure out how to make this space work, and whatever roadblocks you're finding, I would love to work out with you. If you click on Twitter, it'll bring you to my Twitter at NateFT. You can also send gift donations and airdrops to nateft.eth, NateFT.eth. And that's my main for my personal wallet. You can also see my OpenSea collection there, or you can just go to opensea.io/NateFT. In fact, I'm realizing that this link just goes to the NateFT, or it goes to the OpenSea homepage. So don't do that. Just go to opensea.io/NateFT. You can see my collection. If you click on screensaver at chainandblock.io, it'll bring in my screensaver.world created works. And if you are an artist and you are, all right, so basically, let me think about how much I'm allowed to talk about this. We are developing a marketplace that is going to be as tech-free as possible and be as easy for people to onboard. You will still have access to all your private and public keys, but we're trying to build something where if you want, we'll just give you a username and password. You're getting legitimate NFTs. They're on the blockchain, and it's much more accessible for the regular person. And we have some serious retailers involved, let's just say in every mall in the country, that have signed on to work with us. So that should be dropping within the month. If you are an artist and you're looking to be considered for curation in our platform, if you go to chainandblock.io and click on Lematic, the Lematic sign up and upload just a sample of your art. It can be watermarked, we don't care what. Or you can, you know, I think you can, if you message a link to your art, I think that's fine too. But yeah, that's a thing. So if anybody, I've signed NDAs on it, but I am allowed, I think, to promote it, and it's going to be big. I think it's going to be it's going to onboard a lot of people into this space, and it's going to create it's just going to make it more accessible for people, you know, especially for just regular people that aren't interested in all the, you know, 2FA bullshit, you know. But yeah, if you go to chainandblock.io, everything I got is on there. Check it out, spread the word, connect with me. I'm willing to work, and I love helping people. So yeah.
Awesome.
And hey, thank you guys so much for having me on. I love doing crossovers like this. This has been a real honor. It's been a privilege, and I've had a lot of fun. Definitely. I'd love to come on again or have you guys on at some point.
Yeah, for sure. Like Kodeations said, you know, to us, this is like, it's always weird to like just go into a space and say, hey, like to like DM you on Twitter and say, hey, you want to be friends, man? So like the podcast is like because then it's like we make these like we've made some cool connections, like I said, with like people like Metal for Breakfast, some Bored 8 Yacht that have all come through. Like it's because of this podcast that we've even made those connections. And that's just dope that we
you see them
Yep.
in this space all the time. I hate to say this, but you know who I was hanging out every day on Clubhouse until we all found out? Drake Bell.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
dude, I own NFTs that I bought directly from Drake Bell's wallet that he sold me. I like one of my first buys was an NFT bag, and I feel bad for the artist he was working with because they had no idea. And like honestly, I hate to, he's like tried to like make it seem like he's not a scumbag, but like, dude, come on. Every way, like you met her when you were 12, like she gave you head at 15. That's fucked up. Like you're fucked. So yeah, but like, yeah, you end up connecting with all these people and like one day, I'll end with this crazy story. I have a friend named Brian Howard, and the way I met Brian, I was in a Clubhouse room in the morning, and this woman was like, I'm a webcam model. You know what I mean? And and she's like, I think this is amazing because I can set royalties so that if anybody resells any of my porn or my stuff, like, or my selfies or whatever, I can get 90% royalties back on them, or I can like limit the way they're like sold, or I can limit the way they're accessed by people. Like it puts so much more power in my hands as an artist. And I thought, wow, that's really like I'm pro, like, listen, people are going to do sex work of one type or the other. Like if it empowers them and makes them safer and makes them like, it gives them more rights to their own content. Hell yeah. So I go into a room that night, and this one dude comes on. He's like, yeah, I was in this room earlier. People are talking about how they're going to be doing like VR sex dungeons, and you can like have your own like VR immutable sex dungeon and like have like your sex slaves in the metaverse. And I'm like, and everybody's like, whoa, that's fucked up. And I'm like, yeah. And I chimed in. I'm like, dude, I don't know about all that. That's a little extreme. But I was on earlier with a woman who is a webcam model, and she said that by doing this, like being able to mint NFTs of her content, it empowers her way more because she'll be able to set royalty. And then I got cut off by somebody in the room. Funny enough, I interviewed this person and didn't realize they were the person that had cut me off until after I interviewed them. And then I was like, yo, do you remember that night? They're like, that was crazy. I'm like, yeah, but they cut me off. They're like, no, as a woman, we're not fucking going there right now. And I was like, yeah, but I'm just trying to say how they am. She's like, no. As a woman, I really don't want to fucking go there right now. And I'm like, all right, I respect that. That's cool. So I changed the subject. That night, I get while I'm asleep, I get a message from this guy, Brian. He's like, yo, I was in your Clubhouse room the other night. I heard your $300 million idea. Do you have any time tomorrow? We could sit down and talk about this, because I think I have some friends in the adult entertainment industry, and I think we're very much interested in this idea. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I'll sit down. So I met, and I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? Look, it turns out he had a lead. He was a lead in a Netflix movie. Like, he's very well connected in the entertainment industry. And like, I talked with him for like 2 hours about like how it works and like what the utility could be and like how it could benefit the artist. And I was like, listen, like, need any more of my advice? I'm down, because I see this as like, or you're working in porn, sure, but like it's working in porn to like make the artist like look at how Mia Khalifa got fucked over so hard by everyone she worked with. And like, she tells her story, and it's just so fucking sad that like, you know, like, I think you should be allowed to do that work. Like, I'm not even going to sit here and tell you I ain't a consumer, but like at the same time, like fucking, I think that the artist should be respected and like protected and have safety, and like, you know, should like have their artwork be like, they should have rights to the profits of their art and like all that kind of stuff. So like, I was like, yo, dude, if you need more advice, let me know. I'm down for that kind of thing. And it's things like that I think that like where we can do good in this world. Like, even if it is like just looking at like, yeah, that subject's a little bit weird, but like, are we doing good? Good. Then let's do it, you know? And like, but yeah, shit like that. That's like networking on Clubhouse and on Twitter Spaces and Twitter. And just like, that's how I've got all these people that want to work with me. Why don't I start an LLC? They all pay me through that. So, and that's where Chain and Block came up. And now it's, you know, Chain and Block it says we're a collective. It's me and the LLC. The LLC is legally a person. So it's me and the LLC. We are a collective of blockchain experts, developers, designers, and dreamers looking to build the next wave of internet experience. So yeah, chainandblock.io.
Very cool. Very cool. Nate, thank you so much. Like I said, we do use this as a way to then keep in contact with people that we find interesting. So I'm sure we will all be exchanging numbers. As you said, you can send us Clubhouse invites. You know, I don't know if Cody already followed you on Twitter or not, but I'm sure he will be. And we will definitely be in contact more. Where we have, at least me personally, you know, I got to let Cody speak for himself, but I'd be happy to come on your podcast anytime.
Yeah, of course, I would too as well. Yep.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, we'll do like we'll do the 3-way again. Yeah, maybe like next week or something.
Yeah. We'll figure it out a time and everything. We'll chit chat or whatever. So again, thank you so much, Nate. Everybody that's listening to this podcast, thank you so much. Do make sure you go over and show some love to Nate. Head over to his website, Block and Chain. Also, blockandchain.io.
Chain and block.
There you go. .io. Also,
it's easy to mix up.
It is. Also, my man Kodeations at Kodeations.com. That's Kodeation. You'll find all his links on his website and my website, omgitsderek.com. You'll find links to all of my stuff. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, we love your faces, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out, everybody.